AABMA. There's my friend. And is the fans watching, sir?
Nobody can hear you yet, Chris.
Oh, shit.
In about 5 seconds.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Nobody can hear you yet, Chris. In about 5 seconds. Okay. Welcome, everybody.
Oh, there it is.
Nobody can hear you yet, Chris. In about 5 seconds. Okay. Pull up, Robert. Everybody, lower your volume because we can hear it in the background.
Gotta be Chris.
Yeah, mute your mics. You guys got Clubhouse playing in the background. You got to turn all that down.
Oh no, Clubhouse is in my ear, so can't be me.
Gotta be Chris.
Yeah, mute your mics. You guys got Clubhouse playing in the background. You got to turn all that down.
Oh no, Clubhouse is in my ear, so can't be me.
I'm getting a second feedback. So.
You guys got Clubhouse playing in the background. You got to turn all that down. Cool. Welcome. Go ahead, Chris. It's all you, boss.
I hear the feedback too.
Cool.
Shahi, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Chris. It's all you, boss.
I hear you, Chris. We hear you.
Okay, feedback is gone. I can do feedback too. Good evening. Yep. Okay. Good.
Welcome. Go ahead, Chris. It's all you, boss.
I hear you, Chris. We hear you.
Okay, feedback is gone. I can do feedback too. Yeah, Shan, I hear an echo. Good evening.
This is fun.
I'm muting everybody's mic. Hold on a second.
This is fun.
Okay, Chris, that's coming from you, Doc. I'm muting everybody's mic. Hold on a second. Your mic is the only one.
This is fun.
Okay, Chris, that's coming from you, Doc. I'm muting everybody's mic. Hold on a second. Your mic is the only one.
This is fun.
Okay, Chris, that's right, Chris, you got to get your audio under control, son. You got to just close everything down. Just get out of everything. Your mic is the only one.
I know what it was. Sorry. Sorry. Right. So what happened is I had Facebook open and it went live. So I apologize. That was me. And I'm like, why do I keep hearing this feedback? So Tamika, welcome, and Super Nerd. Welcome, Big Red Bull. Is that my little brother Ansel? No, I don't. I fixed it, Wes. Thank you very much. But the middle child, welcome. I see my little brother Ansel in the building. What it do? Welcome, Leah. Welcome, Carla. I think I saw you, Carla, in the building. Hey. Ansel, I want to just tell you real quick, if you are watching us live, we are also on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Ask a Black Man Anything. Definitely want to see you on that particular page. Want to see you join us live there. Welcome, Robert, Shahid, Shan, Jamal, and myself. Here we are. And as Shan flips us around, sound check, mic check, 1 2 1 2. So, welcome to everybody to Ask a Black Man Anything, the weekly Thursday show where you literally can ask a black man absolutely anything, and we give you our honest feedback. And so, here's the deal. We want you to join us not only in the comments, because these comments are super dope, but we also want you to come live and join us up here on the stage and pose a question. You do not at any point have to turn your camera on, but we do want to see you because, facial expressions, change when you hear certain information. With that being said, I want to introduce to you these phenomenal guys that are already here, but I'm not going to give you my introduction of them. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves because guess what? They know their stuff better than I do. And with that being said, guys, go ahead and do your introductions. Phenomenal gentlemen, introduce yourselves, and then we will get this thing popping.
Everybody got to hit the mute button. Unmute yourself. Is it working? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Well, I'll go first.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. My name is Shannon Rawls, coming from the West Coast, the best coast, Los Angeles, California, 49 years old. And I am a guy who talks a lot about the two ships, entrepreneurship, relationships. I seem to be talking about relationships more and more these days because that's what people want to hear. I tend to give most of my advice to young men because I want young men to become better men. And then as a result of doing that, a lot of my information bleeds over to the women's side. So if you guys would like to follow me, you can. I'm on YouTube. If you got to do is search my name, Shannon Rawls. You can Google me, Shannon Rawls. You'll learn all about me. I'm on YouTube, Facebook. I'm on everything as Shannon Rawls. I appreciate you guys having me, and I love answering questions. And I'll be answering any questions that you guys have for us tonight. I'll be putting the link in the chat room, and I'm gonna pin it to the top. So if you click that link up there in just about 2 minutes, you'll be able to jump on stage with us and ask us a question. And as Chris explained, you do not have to come on video, but we would like to have an audio conversation with you. We don't tend to answer questions from the live chat, but we do answer questions if you come up here and say it with your own voice. I appreciate you guys. And I want to pass it to my guy, Shahid. Unmute yourself, Shahid. You muted. Shahid, you on mute.
I think you muted everybody, so you got to unmute everybody.
I got to do it? Is that how that works? Oh, shit, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was the first one talking. Shahid Muhammad out of Los Angeles, California. Looking forward to tonight when we on episode 13.
14 or 15.
14. Wow, 14. That's dope. Yeah, it's funny because I was actually having a conversation with somebody that I was telling them that I'm going to start introducing myself as your favorite black educator. That's something a lot of people don't know about me. So I'm going to hold off on the favorite black cowboy for a minute, and I'm your favorite black educator. It's on you, Jamal.
Jamal Dixon, out of Atlanta, Georgia. Just happy to be back with the guys. Let's get the show popping.
Robert Longmire out of Bakersfield, California. Not much on my spill today. I'm probably only going to be here for a few more minutes. I actually have a meeting in a couple of minutes that I'm going to be driving to. So what up, y'all? Let's get to it. Mr. Chris, your intro, sir.
So you all get to see my facial expressions a little bit more clearly now because my face is so large. Good thing I don't have any pimples
big
tonight.
Head. You got a big head.
First of all, your cousin's cousin. Okay. I'm like LL Cool J over here. Ladies love Cool C. And as you can see, my skin is popping. You know what I'm saying? I got really good clear skin. You know what I mean? All it is soap and water. Drink a lot of water too. Make sure you get your water intake up. Shout out to Shan for telling us to start taking some amino acids, and I'm drinking like a gallon of water a day. So, I'm right here, and I'm like,
hey,
what
man.
am I?
That BCAA shit is disgusting, shit.
Nah, you
What? No, no,
tripping, bro.
no, hold on,
It
hold
Yeah,
on.
tastes
because
like
you
First,
get
let
you
me
Kool-Aid.
get
give
the
you.
brand you get. It's the brand
Ah
you
man,
get.
shit. I
It
got the
tastes
one.
like Kool-Aid.
I got the
What
one
flavor did
that
you get, Shaheed?
What
I
brand you
got
get?
kiwi strawberry. But Shan made it seem like the shit was gonna taste like a Snapple or something. It tastes
Nah,
like
you
the other.
nah, bro. No, what it
You
is you
got
getting the wrong
no.
flavors,
First of
bro.
all,
You
first of
getting the
all,
wrong
this is
flavors.
kiwi strawberry, and it tastes good. And I got the green apple, and that tastes great.
Which
So,
company? Which company y'all use?
I can't really say because we're not promoting other companies, but
Yeah,
I
Put,
should
put,
put you
put
in
it
the
in the
back
food
channel.
because the kind I get tastes good too. It don't taste like Kool Aid, but it's
yeah,
Mine,
good.
no, yeah, that,
mine starts with the E.
that shit
It's
don't taste
doable.
like Kool-Aid. It ain't nasty though, but
You're
it
not
don't
about
taste.
to kick me out. Anyway, Chris Davis from Buffalo, New York, living currently in Atlanta, Georgia. In Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Buffalo, New York. Author of the book, The Edge of Greatness, and actually some really great news I want to share with you all. I just actually finished my second book. My second book is going to be called the. Hold on, I got to look up the title because I always forget it. Because I just changed it from one thing to another. So bear with me for 2 seconds. Um, yeah, I just literally just changed it. Oh man, I gotta scroll to the top. Okay, the Ultimate Vetting Guide. So that's the name of my second book that I got come out. It's not a book like my first book, The Edge of Greatness, which is my autobiography. But this book is a workbook to help you properly vet potential mates. And so in it, it will have categories and things that you need to discuss before you get into an exclusive relationship, because getting into an exclusive relationship without discussing those things, it will make you feel like you you're getting a brand new person when you start talking about all of the different nuances of relationships. So I don't cover everything, but I definitely want you to support me in that endeavor. That will be in my bio, the link in my Instagram bio. It is the real underscore Chris Davis. And not only that, you'll be able to buy multiple copies because I'm sure that you'll be vetting more than one person because you just got to. You know what I mean? Anyways, you should be multi dating. Even if you're only dating one person at a time. So, with that being said, welcome everybody to the show,
Hey
Mr. Super
Chris, real,
Producer.
real quick before Shan come with the hot topic, I got a question for you. How
Yeah,
do you
ask them because I'm working this out anyway. So y'all keep
how
talking.
do you write? When you write, how do you like? What's your writing process? Do you write a certain amount a day, or do you just wait until it comes to you? Like, what's your writing process?
So ironically, it's both actually. So with the book, I actually with the newest book, the workbook. It's also a workbook. With that, I actually came up with that concept literally uh 4 years and a week ago to the date. So October 7th, 2017, I came up with these topics that I wanted to discuss in a relationship. And I was like, you know what? This is pretty good. And it worked, helped me through my vetting process. And I found some really good, great quality women. I mean, the young lady I dated in 2009 for a year, great relationship. And every person after that was just getting better and better and better. And my vetting process just got better. I get better as a human. So what ended up happening, that's when it started. So what I did was I just took that and I literally, so when it came to me, I just started writing, um, and I just kept going and I just kept going. And then there were days where I could write nothing and I didn't force myself to do it. Um, so I laid off of it. But I'll tell you what really happened to get me to the point that I am at now where I just completed it. And just FYI, it will be out before Black Friday. So that's what's going to happen. The book will come out before during the Black Friday week. I'll probably even just launch it Black Friday. But to answer your question, Shahid, that's how I got to it. Sometimes I just wrote. And Leah, we don't answer questions from the chat, so you either gonna have to come on stage and pose that question, or you're going to you're gonna have to. Well, you don't have my number, so you'll have to ask me another way. And yes, Carla, it is a great question, but we don't answer chat questions. So Leah, go ahead and cam up, and you can, and I will be happy to answer your question. I'm very happy to do so. You don't have to come on. I know you're ready to get down to the bonnet phase, and you're probably already there. You already shared with us before that you might be that you had your bonnet on. Carla, don't roll your eyes. God don't like ugly. So, if you want to ask, click that link to join that question. To join us in the discussion, and we'll bring you up, and you'll be able to pose that question. So, as she rolls her eyes twice. That's how you know you like my favorite cousin. Like my cousin used to do the same thing. So thank you for giving me a replacement cousin. I needed that. I did. So Lee, are you going to come up and pose that question, or are you going to be a? That's right. Encourage your girlfriend. Come on up here and ask that question. So we want you to come on up. Oh, also, here's the thing: if you guys are already watching the show, do me a. I'm not answering on Instagram, so you're gonna have to ask on the show. I'm talking about the book on here. Just hit the little button. Cover your camera. Come on up. And anytime you're ready, Shannon, just let me know.
All right, we ready.
Cool. So we want to pop up with our first hot topic. So Mr. Longmire is back.
All right.
Shannon, it's on you.
Let me just tell you right now, because when it happens, I don't want anybody to be surprised. If they announce another quarantine, I am going to get married so quickly. So quickly. Because you are smoking crack. If you think I'm doing another quarantine as an unmarried woman. So after me, you have exactly 20 minutes to propose, or I'm going to have to keep you pushing. Let me just tell you.
I got to get used to this new platform. We're going to go back to the old platform next week, but because of the day, rush is what we're dealing with. But
right now, because when it happens, I don't want anybody to be surprised.
Hear that. So hear her out.
Right now, because when it happens, I don't want anybody to be surprised. If they announce another quarantine, I am going to get married so quickly. So quickly. Because you are smoking crack. If you think I'm doing another quarantine as an unmarried woman. So after me, you have exactly 20 minutes to propose, or I'm going to have to keep you pushing. Let me just.
Yo, the question of the night, well, one of the questions of the night, the main question of the night is a little bit of context. 2020, February, everybody was living life normal. Nothing changed. Everybody was going to work, doing what they do. And then suddenly, we go 1 month later, suddenly the whole country's on lockdown. What happened was when toilet paper started running out, toilet paper, right? Toilet paper, paper towels, and hand sanitizer was running low throughout the country. There was a huge panic. I specifically remember going to Albertsons. It's a grocery store here in Los Angeles, over off of Crenshaw Boulevard. Going to Albertsons and seeing women panicking in the grocery store. I talked to people. I didn't see this myself, but I talked to people who saw women crying at grocery stores, crying at Target, crying at the Walmarts, freaking out at Rouse and Kroger and just various locations that sold paper goods and, just like toiletries and things like that, because they were totally out. When asked, why is you so freaked out? There's no man around. I don't have a husband. I'm single and I don't know what to do. There was this, I'm Greek, I'm a Kappa. There was a Delta that lived in Inglewood. She was freaking out because she was out of hand sanitizer. And I had some extra because I had gallons of it that I used for my studio downtown. And when I offered her some hand sanitizer, she felt like as if I gave her a plate of food. It was weird. But one of the biggest takeaways from that is that when all the single women, and from from some, guy standpoint is, oh, you suddenly need a man now. Suddenly, when there's a calamity and the sky is falling, women all of a sudden need a man. But when everything was going as normal, when supplies were plentiful, when life was normal, you didn't need no man. And so now we're hearing that there may be a potential second lockdown. And I'm talking a lockdown to the magnitude of the first one. I know different, depending on where you are, legislation, but the federal government can come in and override most of the states. So if there's a lockdown on the magnitude of the first one, right, if they don't get this Delta variant under control, we could be looking at something that's as serious as the first one was. But then, as you see on this video that I just played, and this, it could be a joke, but every joke has some truth embedded in it. Women are talking about, I'm not doing this alone. I'm not going through another quarantine in my house all by myself. Fellas, one, how do you feel? Give us a little bit of your recollection of March, April 2020 and what you saw in these streets. And two, how do you feel about hooking up with somebody maybe faster than normal, maybe getting to know somebody a little sooner than normal, simply because life is changing as we know it. Masks are not going away. No matter if the entire country is vaccinated, we're going to be wearing masks for the foreseeable future. No different than South Korea does, because South Korea was rocking masks for a long time. Do you see yourself going ahead and connecting with somebody, or do you find yourself looking for a partner, somebody to date or marry, maybe a little faster than normal? Is the second quarantine a problem? And do you see yourself hooking up with a woman faster than you normally do?
Hell no.
Go ahead, Shahid.
Like, nah, I mean, when I noticed in the first lockdown, quarantine, or whatever, it was a lot of shacking up taking place. Like, you know what I mean? It was dudes getting action that might not have been able to get action, you know, in the more open months. Excuse me. Yeah, so but I also noticed like a lot of motherfuckers are just not good with themselves, like, because a lot of people's identity was stripped away from them. Like, you know what I mean? And I hate to like kind of well, let me not even say it this way. I observe women more than I do men because I'm attracted to women. So I'm paying attention to the behavior of women more so than I am of men, right? So what I saw is a lot of women's, and I'm talking in my demographic, let's say 25 to early 30s, mid 30s maybe, right? What I saw was a lot of women lose their identity because you couldn't go nowhere and get cute and dressed up and put your 6-inch heels on and your dress, and you couldn't do that. So a lot of women, again, I'm only speaking for what I experienced and what I observed, they lost their identity. So, you know, the dude that may not have been able to get that action, get that, you know, Netflix and chill time, they got it because that was all you could do. But as far as me, hell no, I'm not, because nothing really changed for me. I didn't really, it didn't affect me. Like, I think the worst thing that happened to me during this, and you know, I'm blessed because nothing happened to me. It was a lot of people that did fall on hard times. You know, for me, I didn't. But I was like, the worst thing that happened to me was I couldn't find alcohol nowhere. Like, it really. I'm dead at. It really took me a minute to find alcohol. Like, I was good on paper towels and tissue and all that, but alcohol, for whatever reason, I couldn't find alcohol. That was it for me. But I'm definitely not, because if we get deep into it, we're talking about survival and necessity. So I'm not taking on any more. I'm not taking on anymore in a time where it's survival time. You know what I mean? If it does,
you look at a woman as a liability.
if it's not benefiting me. Like my father told me at a young age, if she ain't an asset, she's a liability. Luckily for me, the women that I keep around me are assets, but as far as taking on something new, I just wouldn't. It just doesn't make sense for me. It would have to serve great benefit.
Jamal, question to you. Question to us is, now
Oh no,
I'm
I
not
heard
sure.
it. I heard
Okay,
it. So,
okay,
yeah.
go for it.
So for me it was different because it didn't really change because I still had to go to work. So I mean, I saw what Atlanta is like without traffic. That was great. Didn't last that long, but it was all right.
Listen,
It
that
was all
was
right.
so beautiful.
It was all right. But being an essential worker, and then I was in a relationship at the time. She was an essential worker, so our lives didn't really change on the day to day in terms of being locked down and staying home. But for me, like I'm an only child, grew up only child, I could stay at home by myself. It'd be perfectly fine. So I wouldn't rush into nothing. No, for what? What do that for? Just to say you did, just because you feel you need something, and then when it's over, now you stuck with someone you're not supposed to be with. No, I don't believe in that. I don't care if it's a pandemic, Pangea, panoramic, it don't matter. No, no, not doing that. And even now, mandates and things like that, whether they come or they don't, you're still going to have to be able to be okay with yourself. And I think that was the issue that got exposed last year. A lot of people weren't comfortable with who they were at the time. A lot of people didn't really know themselves, and now they had time to deal with whatever issues they were running from. You couldn't go to the club, you couldn't go to the lounge, you couldn't go to the bar, you couldn't travel. You had to really sit at home and deal with whatever issues were plaguing you at the time. So in a worldly sense, it was awful, but I feel like it helped a lot of people. And, even us now, it's helping us to see different ways of getting streams of income, different ways that we want to live life. So, uh, yeah, it didn't really change much because I still had to work, but I wouldn't just rush into any kind of relationship just because the world is closing down. No.
Definitely wouldn't rush into any sort of relationship. I did hear the question. I wouldn't rush into any sort of relationship. What I did see whenever, because I'm out and about all the time, so what I did see is I seen the struggle that is out there. It is like a lot of people ended up thinking that they should be in desperation mode, and so they're trying to move in those ways. Um, it actually had me in the not necessarily in the position, but looking to make sure that I am prepared to protect myself should it come to anything, just by nature of what I do. So it can be rough.
Y'all some selfish
The
brothers.
pandemic can be a rough deal. I'm not gonna rush into no relationship.
We'll
I
do
said
that, Shane.
actually, from what I've learned is that the pandemic has actually slowed down and helped people understand each other more so because that physical aspect isn't there. So you're not just falling in lust with somebody, you actually taking the time to get to know somebody more often than not. The whole not wanting to be home by yourself thing, well, that's when you get to know that person, and maybe that's the one person you take that risk with. But that's it. Go ahead, y'all.
So yeah, I too am a little selfish. I can't just bring somebody in because I have full custody. So here's how 2020 started for me. I got full custody of my children January 2020, and we were in school. Everything was going great. And fast forward to um, March, everybody's at home. And last year, I was a rideshare driver for the most part. I had my business, but I wasn't growing it like I am now. But I don't think my vetting process changed. And just because we were in a panini press, a pandemic, a panorama, or whatever else people were saying we were in, it did not change that. And it did allow me to actually take the time to learn people, to learn myself more. And the more I learned me, the better I got to getting better relationships. online dating for me accelerated a lot because I could not physically touch you. I could not sit with you. And so I did not speed up my process. I actually started to slow down. I started to look more at each person carefully and saying, well, what qualities do they bring? Does this work for me? Does that work for me? And it also gave me the opportunity to get better um, at becoming me. And so while I had to face all of these things that I was dealing with and grow from them, I had to deal with my own triggers, right? I didn't realize that certain things that were triggers. And so I had to deal with them. And once I learned to deal with my triggers, it allowed me to be a better dater. And so I mean, I'm not bringing anybody in just because I want to bring somebody in just because they don't have toilet paper. When March 13th is when my kids came home. I think I had actually just bought. I went to Sam's and I got this huge thing of toilet paper, so I didn't have a shortage. I mean, that big thing of toilet paper for us will last us, a good 2 or 3 months, and by then, you know,
Everybody was
we were
restocked. It was a restock.
Atlanta was open. So, you know, Atlanta was open. Our governor closes down, March 13th. By March 15th, he was talking about, okay, so we got to reopen Georgia. I'm like, bruh, we're not even clear yet. Like, we don't know what we're dealing with. But I was essential in the sense that people still needed to get places. I didn't get pandemic money like they were adding on to the contract workers, but I got paid good money. So I am happy for that part. But no, I mean, I'm not. I'm not. It's not going to speed up my process. If we go into another lockdown, here's what I'll say. I'm already in the process of vetting some new people. So, if anything, it will be one of the people I'm currently vetting, and I already have a front runner. So, you know, maybe that.
But hold on, Chris. So what are you're not gonna put it on hold, you're not gonna put it on timeout. So you gotta what you gonna do?
So I'm not putting it on hold, but see, so my vetting process typically takes um 3 to 6 months, and I think I have a good clue of the people that I have because I have real conversations. So I'm not putting on a hold. I've already seen them. We've already been in each other's presence. We've already went on dates. I know their stance on the vaccine. So if we go to a lockdown, it will really be okay with the woman that I'm talking to, because um, we've already been around each other, so it won't really change much. Even if we can't go anywhere, we can be indoors, and I'm comfortable with that. So I'll say they the woman has met my children, so I'm not really concerned about
Chris out here telling on himself.
not really. I'm being very cautious of what I say. So, Mr. Hardiman.
The deal, Colin.
Hello, everyone. What's up?
What's happening?
What's happening? How's
Go ahead and do
everybody?
your introduction, Mr. Hardiman.
I'm still getting situated up in here.
That's perfectly fine. I'll keep talking. So,
Testing.
that's fine. Let me know
Nah,
when you're ready.
I want to hear Shan. Shan told us that he's selfish. I want to hear Shan tell us how he gonna provide. Shan gonna get everybody on this program in this time.
So look,
In no time.
I don't know. Okay, so this time around would be completely different, even if they attempted to lock down the country the way they did before. One, I don't think they're gonna be able to lock the country down the way they did before. Even if it came down as a federal mandate, and they required, oh man, my camera's up high, so let me sit back. So, and even if they required the states to do some kind of federal mandate, the way people were put out of businesses, the way I just don't think it's going to come around the way it is. But if they attempted to enforce it, and I don't think most local police officers would do it either. Police departments would do it. Just like a lot of police departments out here in Los Angeles was like not giving tickets to people that didn't have masks when they had first put that out there. But what I do know that people that were already in a relationship. So I was single during the pandemic, right? For 2020, I wasn't with anybody, right? One of the things that I did hear about is that there was a lot of strain on relationships, a lot of marriages, people that were cohabitating or whatever, because they got up in the morning and they commuted to work and they were away from each other for 8 hours. And then they were able to come back home, meet in the middle, have some dinner, maybe make love, and then go to bed and repeat the process again for 5 days out of 7. It allowed space for them to be apart. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, all that shit. But then when they got to the point where they had to see and deal with each other on a daily basis, I heard that was a big problem. It was a big strain on a lot of relationships, and the divorce rate went up. The breakup rate went up. I don't know if the I don't know if it was a baby boom. I don't think there was a baby boom. I haven't heard of one. If it was, I didn't hear about it. I don't know if a whole lot of pregnancies came out of the pandemic, but I do know a whole lot of divorces came out of the pandemic. Now, with that said, for the single people like me, it was kind of tough because you didn't know what the fuck was getting ready to happen. You didn't know if the sky was falling, if we was getting ready to have a zombie apocalypse, if the world was going to turn into The Walking Dead. We just didn't know. Now that we're a little bit more well versed, we know how to move. I kind of know that that's not going to happen. So I won't be too quick to stay away from people, but I wouldn't touch nobody. I know that online dating increased, but people kind of waited. I wasn't fucking with nobody. I didn't touch nobody. I wasn't having no sex. And that's hard for me because, and this leads me into my point. And I talked to you, Shahid, about
what. Yeah, please tell me why I'm selfish.
The sexual side, a lot of women wasn't getting a lot of sex. And so when we played that little video that we just played, it's not so much that she needed some toilet paper. She needed some dick. And if you guys is not going to go, and then I need some, I like sex. And I don't know that I can go through another pandemic without being cuffed up. I need somebody here with me, locked down with me, move in, whatever we got to do, just so we together. I know, but I'm not married, so I'm not worried about the divorce side of it. But I like the presence of a woman. I like the comfort. Women make, like, my house with just me by myself is cold, but with a woman here, it makes it warm. I just like the presence of women. Don't I always like them in my face, but just knowing that she's around makes it feel good, makes me feel better. And so I don't know that I would be able to make it through another pandemic. Now, would I rush into a marriage? No, that ain't happening. Would I rush into a relationship? What can come from being with somebody for so long, all day, every week, because you're forced to be? I don't think I would have a problem with that. I would actually enjoy having a chick around, and I get to have sex unlimited and with somebody that I know is clean, at least as best I can tell she's clean and doesn't have any kind of corona or COVID-19 or COVID-20 or COVID-22 virus. The selfish side comes from you fellas need to give out some dick. Y'all not helping these ladies out. These women need you around. She don't need you.
Wait, nobody said that wasn't happening. Shahid didn't say that.
Right.
We're saying that we're not forcing.
Shahid is not distributing no dick. Chris, you're not distributing no dick. None of y'all niggas.
But Shan, there's
I'm
only
a good Christian man. I'm like Colin. I have to, I have to, watch you for a few months, and you have to speak to my spirit, like Colin.
But to Shan's point, though, in that first lockdown, I treated COVID like an STD. Like, I was like, I don't know. I was paying attention to like where you be at, who you be with, because we didn't really know too much about it. It was a scary, virus, disease, or whatever when we first learned about it. So I definitely treated it like it was an STD. this time around, you know, I probably won't, you know, be as strenuous on it, but as far as going out, meeting new people and shit like that, I probably still won't be on that.
With that being said, let me take a moment of personal privilege to welcome Colin. Welcome, good brother. Of course, you know, I love your process, just FYI. And I am excited to share and revel in your joy. With that being said, sir, please introduce yourself. And if you haven't heard the question, I can repeat it for you.
I heard.
Okay,
I was
perfect.
listening while I was driving. So, my name is Colin Hardiman, executive producer and founder of Amazing Media, digital media company. I'm happy to contribute on this platform to give my life experience in business relationships and whatnot. But yeah, glad to be here. So as far as the question, I really kind of don't fit into the the question because, you know, March, April of last year, you know, my back was up against the wall for the first time. I was, you know, trying to figure out where I was going to get income for my business because literally all contracts, you know, seized up for the rest of the year. First, it was the cancellation of South by Southwest. We lost 5 contracts with that alone. And South by Southwest is usually our bread and butter. So then when they shut down all the big major events for the rest of the year, like one by one, more and more clients were canceling. So for the first time, I was kind of panicking, figuring out what to do in my business, trying to find other avenues of, you know, a pivot basically. And at that time, I had 2 interns as well. So honestly, I mean, long story short, I ended up moving to Houston in the middle of the pandemic. It was unplanned. We was in the middle of lockdown. And I called my cousin. I was just like, hey, I need to get away because I was stressing myself out, trying to figure stuff out, putting on a fake smiling face for the interns, like, hey, we're going to get through this. It's all good. And then get out the call. And then I'm just like, what the hell am I going to do? What are we going to do? And da, 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 da. But I was just like, I need to get away. And my cousin, who's a successful entrepreneur, every time I get away, I always go to Houston. And he's always getting me in touch with somebody else who's doing great things and all that kind of stuff. But when I went down there, it was more of the same thing. But what he said to me next kind of changed the whole dynamic of my trajectory. He was just like, cousin, I don't know why you keep procrastinating. You need to go ahead and move to Houston. He's like, you don't have no kids. You don't have nothing holding you back. You're not married. Just move to Houston. And that really stuck with me. So that weekend when I came back to Austin, I literally came back to get a U-Haul and moved to Houston. So it was impromptu. It was not planned. It was completely spontaneous. And I came to Houston with the idea, the pivot idea, which is what I'm doing right now. We're heavy in virtual events. But literally from start, I would say middle of April all the way until the second week of December, it was just nonstop because it was a good pivot and it was hidden because we was getting so many inquiries. I had to shut down my calendar 2 or 3 times. I was growing my base and hiring employees. So what I'm saying, y'all, is I didn't have time to date. I wasn't even thinking about the dating market during the pandemic. It was like literally just grind, having to implement systems because business was coming in so fast. I was like literally to the point of burnout. So I had to quickly put some systems in place so I didn't burn myself out, to quickly hire people. I was putting CPAs around me. I was putting all these strategists around me. So it was just building nonstop, just grinding for about 6-7 months nonstop. So yeah, that's why I said I'm kind of a exception to this question because I really wasn't in the dating market. I wasn't checking for the dating market. I was just trying to survive business-wise the pandemic, and it was very successful. And it just literally, I was just drowned in work. So hopefully that wasn't too long, but that's my answer.
Got it. But
no,
listen, fellas, if okay, so let's remove the sexual side because I was saying that in jest. But if safety and security is one of the primary tenets of a relationship, women are looking for that, right? Remember, we talk about the 4 P's that men are put on the planet for: provision, protection, problem solving, and procreating. So providing and protecting. A lot of women were not provided for and were not protected during the pandemic. if we go through another lockdown, man, and in these states, or there's some kind of federal mandate that says that we just can't go home or we can't go out because there's a spike in deaths and people are, it mutates into some crazy shit. Do you really feel like it's every man and woman for themselves? Will you guys connect with somebody? Will you overlook maybe some of the arguments that you've had with some exes and maybe kind of reconcile that relationship just so you can get together? Will you look at family a little differently and maybe consider having children sooner than later, Shaheed? Simply because, you
You left out Jamal.
Oh, and Jamal too. Does it even cross your mind? You know what, man? Family might be a little bit. I may need to escalate that's that part of my life a little faster because the world. I don't know what the fuck is going on. And so do you look at some of your exes and think maybe this she wasn't so bad. She wasn't so bad. Now that shit is getting kind of real in these pandemic streets.
Time doesn't go back, it goes forward.
Before anyone comments, I do want to just say real quick, we do see you all, and we love the interaction. If you have a question, number one, if you're on Clubhouse and you have a question, join us over on YouTube. Flip over to your YouTube app, type in "Ask a Black Man Anything" in the YouTube app. Subscribe to our channel, and then pose your question there. And if you're already in the chat, go ahead and click, or you want to join the conversation. If you want to join the conversation, by all means, you are able to do so. What you want to do is you want to click the link at the very top of the chat, and then once you click that link, you'll be able to join us here on the show, and you'll be able to pose a question, or you can literally just join the conversation because otherwise it's just us talking to ourselves. Go ahead, Shahid. I think you on mic first. Let me also address this super chat from Snuggles. Do men have any backbone to tell a woman what they require from her? You require cooking and cleaning to be a part of her job. Can you tell her? We'll address that in just a moment. But go ahead, Shaheed, to the topic.
No, Shan brings up some extremely valid points. The relationships, as far as like with my exes and all that, you definitely. But see, I'm different though, because I don't really be having those toxic. Like most of my relationships end amicably. They, we agree to disagree. We go our separate ways, and it's no bad blood. So, if anything, if I was in that space, I could reach out. But most, I'm in contact with a few of my exes, just because these are valuable people in my life. Like I tell every woman I've ever dealt with, they know, I don't have no bad blood with no exes. I still communicate with them, it ain't like, oh, hey, what you doing? But if my ex called me right now and she needs something, it's a good chance that I'm gonna be able to accommodate that because that's somebody that played a vital role in my life. Same thing with family. As far as kids though, like I can't. It's too many unknowns to, like, for example, with a second lockdown, we don't know. It could be 10 times worse than the last one we had, or it could be, we think it's going to be 10 times worse, and then it's a couple weeks.
No big deal.
Yeah, right. And then so I don't want to make no decisions based on that, but those are valid points though.
Right. Jamal.
Oh yeah. Answer still no. That doesn't change the thing for me. I'm sorry. No. Like for me, I feel like whatever happens is supposed to happen. So if you didn't work out with your ex, you're not meant to work out. But I don't need you to survive though, and vice versa. So I'm not gonna even backstep or go backwards for that. Nah, nope. Because my thing is, even if the world got worse and if the world was the end, then what good is the child you just had if we all dying anyway? Like that didn't fix anything. So
that's a draconian point of view to take. You like, fuck it, why we all dying anyway?
Think about it. Okay, you meet someone, you get her pregnant, 6 months in, something catastrophic happens, the world ends. You gain nothing from trying to rush it. So if the worst case scenario is that, and the best case scenario is we all come through on the other side alive, then I just rushed into creating a child with someone I'm not even that cool with, or someone that I didn't want to have this child with for nothing. No, nope. Selfish, I'll be that. Nope.
All right.
So
Yeah.
for me, Shan, I just sent you a chat real quick. Okay. The link is posted, ladies and gentlemen, to join the conversation in the chat. I do want to, whenever Wes gets his camera together, we told him to fix his camera last week before he comes onto the show, but we're going to ignore that today. Um, no, but I don't have to have more children because there is a process for me to have more children. In order for me to have a kid, I have to reverse some things. So reverse my procedure. So I am not in a rush to have a child again. So for me, it doesn't rush anything. For me, if the world goes on lockdown, as I said, the people that have been in my sphere, I'm still properly vetting them. There is an ex. Do I have to go back to her? I don't have to go back to her um, because I don't think that we made a terrible decision to break up. I do think that we agreed to not be together and not go forward. But as I said, my vetting process is still the same. Initially, I would probably know in 3 weeks. Now, I may know, but I still want to take the time to see a person with consistency over the next 3 months before. And so, since I can't have a child, if you want to move in and do the nasty, that's fine. I can't have a kid, so I'm okay. Just make sure you have your papers to show that you ain't got nothing else. So
May I?
go right ahead, Colin.
So what I was going to say, what was the question again?
Are you going to have kids faster or go back to an ex?
Right. So honestly, I didn't let the pandemic didn't come into play at all as far as like decision making, other than just for business. But it didn't warp my thoughts or anything like that. Like maybe I should go back to my ex and things like that. So I kind of agree with what Jamal said, because listen what you said. Do you go back to your ex? What is the main word that sticks out in that sentence? That's a real question for y'all.
X. Oh, I thought it was for Jamal.
X.
So, for anybody.
Backwards.
Back. Right.
Yep.
So that's why I said that earlier. It's like time doesn't go back, it only goes forward. So
that's a Jay-Z line.
Exactly. So why are you going backwards? As humans, we're all about progress and evolution. So we're all about always going forward.
Well, I think the reason why I would why I would ask or wouldn't have an issue or would kind of understand why somebody would go backwards with somebody with an ex or go back to somebody is because with time comes wisdom, and with wisdom comes thinking that maybe some of the things that made you break up to begin with were petty. When you think of even the divorce rate, right? In American culture is what 52%, in the Black community is 61%. So we're talking about a lot, and most of those divorces are for no. Now I won't say most, but I'll say a lot of those divorces are not vow breaking reasons. It's not that somebody's an alcoholic or somebody was beating on somebody or somebody maybe necessarily even cheated. It's just because oftentimes people are just unhappy. To be honest with you, they polled women because women are the ones that tend to file for divorce. They polled women after the divorce, and most women that filed for divorce regret it later. They regret it later because a lot of times they realize, you know what, I should have just stuck it out, or they thought, or that green grass they thought was on the other side ain't as green as they thought. They left a good man to go find a worse man, and they realize that their husband was better than everybody else they found afterwards. It's a lot of different reasons. And so if you get to a pandemic and you get to a situation where you got to kind of think about how it went last time, and you get ready to somewhat go through that all over again, you start to rethink, well, damn, was I tripping on my girl? Did I leave? Was I tripping? Did I leave her, or did I dog her out in a manner that was even worthy of doing it because I thought I was cool, or I thought I still had it, or I thought I had a young chick or something, or maybe I was being an asshole? Maybe I could be a little bit more compassionate towards her this time around, whereas I wasn't even seeing that before. So when I say people go backwards, because I get you, time goes forward, but maybe I'm a little bit more mature. And what I left for before was kind of stupid and petty.
I will be more mature for that new person.
You're gonna just do it for the new chick? Okay, I hear you.
So to finish my point, so I get what you're saying, Sharon, and I'm talking from experience because I was still getting over and kind of through the breakup, the one that I always talk about. So because we broke up in kind of late 2019. So I was still kind of getting over that, when the new year came in, and then of course when the pandemic, when I lost my dude Kobe, it was like that was just the start of this whole skid. So it literally made me forget about that. The reason I say that is because there are blessings in lessons. So on Jamal's tip, what he was saying was you just learn. These are all experiences. So everybody you've encountered in life, they're all experiences. That doesn't mean you got to wallow and, necessarily stick it out, because I don't think we're talking about marriage. We're just talking about relationships, right? Before marriage, correct?
Yeah.
So, I'm not friends with any of my exes because just like y'all know my stance is why even keep that door open? Like I changed.
Yeah, you shut doors.
I shut doors. Like I'm not friends with any of my exes. I don't stay in contact because it's just like, I learned from the lessons, and it's just like you move on. So y'all know the story. I've said this over and over. Y'all know my story now. So had I gone back, I wouldn't have received my queen that's perfectly right for me today. Because I would have still been trying to work it out and still trying to see if we can, come to amends and see if we can compromise with the ex and things like that. If it didn't work out the first time, it just wasn't meant to be. Move on. Like learn what was the lesson from that and move on and be better for the next person.
Colin, would you accelerate your relationship with your current girl because of a new pandemic?
We don't need to. That's what I'm saying. The pandemic has not come into any decision making with this whole whatever you want to call it, pandemic, COVID. I've had COVID, so it's like this isn't altering my I want to have kids now. I want to get married sooner. Everything is happening naturally in the way it's supposed to.
Are you in the same city as your girl?
No, she's in a different country.
Yeah.
Oh,
so before we go to the next commenter, fellas, I want to take a moment to go ahead and bring on Miss Super Nerd. She wanted to join the conversation. I know she had mentioned that she had lots to say. So, Miss Super Nerd, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
Good evening, Queen. Welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything, and we definitely appreciate you for being here. Also, welcome, Wes. Mr. Wes is in the building.
Mr. Wes in the building.
It's good.
Miss Super Nerd, go ahead with your question, or how did you want to add to the conversation?
I guess a lot of statements were made about women's reactions to the pandemic, whether they were crying at Ralph's or Albertsons or Kroger or Publix, wherever they were crying in the streets. And I thought that the reason behind the panic was interesting. But to reference the question that Shannon just asked about, whether would you jump into a relationship faster? Would you go through your vetting process faster? I think that there is a danger in making rush decisions in the middle of chaos. simply because you don't want to be by yourself. Because the reality is that everything has a season. And at some point, this pandemic, no matter how many, members of the Delta Lambda Mu sorority that COVID is recruiting come along, at some point there's going to be stabilization and there's going to be a new normal. We could have asked the same question when September 11 happened. So if you can't get on a flight the way that you used to, are you going to choose your life partner slightly differently? At the end of the day, we're still getting on flights. We just all know that when we go through TSA, we're taking off our shoes and we're taking off our belts. So I think it's really important that people don't rush into selecting partners just because A, they don't know how to be by themselves. B, they are reacting from a panic perspective and not seriously vetting people who may have long-term or who they are and how they function beyond the pandemic. Because I mean, people have been making that mistake with cuffing out here because people are like, oh, the temperature's dropping. We can't be in the club anymore. I need somebody to Netflix and chill with. Now you're Netflixing and chilling for 18 years with somebody you can't stand. Now you're on Instagram subbing in your stories with a little black screen and the mini font because you made decisions, not because you were truly making intentional choices and asking questions about whether or not this person had the same values as you, whether they were aligned with the legacy you want to build, whether or not they saw the world the way that you did, whether or not they edified you. You did it simply because you don't know how to be by yourself. Listen, the aliens could come tomorrow. Okay. They could tell us that, you know what, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are coming. If it hasn't happened, it hasn't happened. And it's okay. And if it does happen, then I would rather that people make choices based on who is best for you, regardless of whether or not it's a pandemic. Because when all of the chaos is gone and things quiet out again, and now you're stuck with this person and you're not reacting and you're not making choices out of adrenaline, would you still choose them? Would you still want to spend time with them? Would you still want to build with them? And I think people need to ask those questions. I've been single for 4.5 years. I rode out this pandemic chilling. I ate all the snacks. I ran a 5K and a 10K. I built a business. I watched people lose their entire minds on Clubhouse. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Humanity still has no home training. But at no point did I sit there and think, oh my goodness, the world is imploding. I'm going to die by myself. I came by myself. I'm going to have to leave by myself. If somebody partners with me in between, let them be the best partner for me, regardless of what outside looks like, not simply because outside is on fire.
So much for that comment, Super Nerd. I do take a moment real quick.
Great.
If you are in the Clubhouse room, I want to thank you all for joining us real quick before we allow us to speak to Ms. Super Nerd in reference to that. And before we also bring up our next question, Destiny, if you're currently on Clubhouse, we want you to join us on YouTube. You have your phone in your hand. We're live streaming from YouTube. So what we want you to do is pop over to YouTube in the app, type in Ask a Black Man Anything, the same name as this club. Make sure you're following the moderators here. We're actually not taking questions live on Clubhouse. We want you to join us on YouTube and come up to our live broadcast. You don't have to have your camera on, but we do, in order to answer the question tonight, we do have to come onto our live broadcast on YouTube. So again, jump over to YouTube app, type in Ask a Black Man Anything, the same title of the room, the same title of the club that is here, and then come and join the question, pose your question there. With that being said, I toss it back over to the fellas, and we look forward to you joining us from the Clubhouse stage on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you can get this great content every weekend. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
I don't need to really. I do co-sign everything Ms. Supernet said because that's where I was going with my point and everything. So it's just like, yeah, don't make rash decisions while in the pandemic. That's why I said I haven't let the pandemic direct any of my decisions as far as like personal relationships or anything like that. So Ms. Supernerd said it also. I just co-sign what she said. That's really where I wanted to make my point, but I stopped just short of that. So thank you.
Yeah, that pretty much
she pretty much
mirrors what I said. Like, no. And that's why. Like, nah, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, to jump in on the topic super quick. For me, the pandemic. So I'm an introvert I'm more of an ambivert actually, but a lot of people, I think, probably might think I'm a little bit extroverted. But the reality of it is that nothing changed for me during the quarantine. It was just like a regular Tuesday. I'm pretty much to myself and a homebody, and in the relationship space, I'm really proud and thoughtful about it. So I absolutely co-sign Super Nerd's sentiments, and I think the pandemic uh, exposed a lot of people's insecurities, a lot of people's uh, it just exposed so much about us, and I think it's offered if we're doing some real self-assessment, it's offering an opportunity to fix those pieces of us that were broken, so that when we go into the next relationship, we don't go into it as though it's a pandemic, and we just go into it in a more healthier way than than we previously did. So that's my thoughts on the issue at hand.
I totally agree. Miss Super Nerd, did you have a question for us as well, or did you just want to join that part of the conversation?
I did have a question. So,
Go
my
ahead,
question, because everybody kind of mentioned how the lockdown forced people to do a lot of introspection. What is the most powerful lesson you learned spending time alone?
I'll go first. Because it literally has allowed us to be in the space today. Literally today, we just discussed it probably about 2 short hours ago. The most powerful lesson for me is to allow people to do whatever it is they want to do, because then you will see what they truly want to do. You give people the space. Like, don't try to control people. Don't try to, say, no, you shouldn't do that. Particularly in relationships, let people be their ultimate selves, because then you will see who they really, really are. And when you see who they really are, you can better make a judgment if you want to be in their life or if you want to remove yourself. And mind you, I didn't say if you want to remove them. You are making the choice, and that might be a second lesson, just as a little golden nugget. You either stay or you choose to leave, and that was the most valuable lesson that I learned. Give people the space to do whatever it is they want to do. Fellas, question is yours.
I think I already kind of spoke on this. For me, I'm really I love myself a lot. Like, that goes. It sounds a little, I don't know what it sounds like, but again, going back to how I saw people behave and how they couldn't really function, it just made me say, damn, like you really are comfortable within yourself and confident with who you are. Because again, like I said, I was fortunate enough to not lose anything during that pandemic.
Mine's going to be really brief. There was many lessons learned, but I would say the biggest one I learned was I always know the importance of family, but it really just significant. It really emphasized the importance of family, because my family came much closer during the pandemic. We were literally having family Zoom check-in. So every month we'll all jump on a Zoom, be 30, 35 of us, all scattered all across, the nation. And yeah, and it was my cousin that gave me that perspective or insight to just, hey, you're not feeling this city anymore. It's like the winds of change are blowing, move to a new environment, and I'm flourishing here in Houston. So in retrospect, or looking back, it was definitely the right move. So the importance of family is what I learned.
I would say embrace who you really are. I think the pandemic really gave us time to figure out who am I really and what do I really want to do? What is my real purpose? And a lot of times we get caught up in trying to fit other people's molds or other people's projections of what we should be, instead of just embracing who we really are and what our true desires are, and then chasing after our real purpose and accepting what fits us. Because there are a lot of things that can be good for you, but they don't actually fit you and they don't fit your true persona or your true being. So that was the biggest one out of the pandemic for me.
One thing that I noticed, and it's more not so much a lesson, but an observation, is that how very much human beings require leadership, and is essentially is lost without it. I know that we're a colonial species, right? We require a chain of command, a hierarchy. That's why there's kings and queens and monarchies, and and presidents, and all the way down to even, and we're taught that even from children, even the kids in school. And there's a class president, and stand in line one behind the other, and then just follow the leader. We are a very follow the leader species, and I didn't realize that until the pandemic. I didn't notice how very much humans require structure, to the point where they almost don't even want to make decisions for themselves. They just need somebody else to make the decisions for them, and then they'll follow that lead. Where people follow the crowd like a motherfucker. And so that's just something that I've noticed. And maybe it's because I'm more of a rebel spirit, and I kind of don't follow the crowd. I kind of like push against that. I tend to go with what I think makes more common sense. And if some leader who has a gift of gab is like a Pied Piper, and is playing his flute and leading all these poor mice in the wrong direction, I'm quick to say something about that.
That makes you a leader in a sense.
Yeah, but I didn't know that there was so many mice. I didn't realize there was that many mice out there. So that's just something that I picked up, and that's a lesson. I guess if it is a lesson, it's a lesson I learned about humans. So it's back to you, Chris.
Shout out to all the rebels out there.
So if I could really quick. So, for me, it wasn't so much what I learned as opposed to what was confirmed for me. And that's, none of this shit matters. None of this shit matters. We are not, tomorrow is not promised. We are not entitled to life itself, much less any of these other little surface trappings of life that we have. And so for me, it was more so confirmation that what matters most is being present, being happy right now, doing whatever it is that you love. If you haven't found your passion, find your passion. And all of the trappings of life. Listen, it was funny. I have a good friend of mine. He's like a brother to me now. I never forget. He was saying, "Man, what's amazing right now is all of these millionaires. They're all we're like the playing field is leveled now. Like we're all in the same boat." This is a person who's would be one of those people for sure. And it was just amazing to see that regardless of where a person was economically in life, that once the pandemic hit, they were surviving and scratching and scrounging just like everybody else. And maybe not, equivalent in some ways. Certainly access to things that they needed might have come simpler. But from a standpoint of tomorrow, wasn't promised to us, to me. Your money almost didn't matter for a minute there. And
Almost.
so, yeah, almost. I was one of those who were blessed. Not much changed for me. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me, was confirmation of being present, and the value of being present and living in the now, because tomorrow is a promise.
Man, that was great, Wes. I always knew you were so
Poetic.
sensitive,
Hey,
so beautiful, It's all love, man.
Just a beautiful brother.
That's what I imagine. It's all love, man.
It is.
Miss Super Nerd, Queen, we hope that you felt heard. And we hope that we were able to engage with you with your question. While we're here live on YouTube, we thank you for coming up and asking that question and engaging us in the conversation.
My pleasure. You guys have a good night.
You too, Yolanda. Hopefully, we'll see you again. With that being said, I do want to welcome Destiny. Destiny, if you can hear me loud and clear, say my name, say my name. Destiny, welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything. Hey, there she is.
Okay.
How are you
Destiny,
guys?
Destiny coming with choosing signals, y'all.
Why everybody looking at Wes?
Why? Just because you came on camera? I thought you said you wanted to
Everybody checking out Wes. Everybody's looking at Wes's body language. Like, okay, what Wes about to do? What he gonna say?
So
What are we
no,
talking about?
no, not because you came on camera. It's that we just tease. Your
I
lighting
know.
is a little dark.
Yes, it's because you came on camera and you look beautiful. That's why.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, all right. Well, there we go. Your lighting is a little dim, so
It
that's why I
is.
say
Hold on.
you got your whole. See, she got a whole dress on. See, she came with choosing signals.
I did not. This is bedtime.
Femininity.
It's bedtime.
It is bedtime.
Say less. Well, listen,
But
Destiny.
this is a great conversation. I agree with Wes. I feel like it allowed us to be more intentional with the relationships that we have, because I think a lot of times we get so caught up in building our businesses, and then it's like our relationship with ourselves, and then our relationship with our family, and our friends become neglected. So I do agree with that. But my question is related to the vaccine. So I'm glad you guys are on this conversation. So my question is, are we losing our freedom of choice, or are we being taught to work together for the greater good? Because a lot of people are losing their jobs because they're not getting vaccinated and being fined. So yeah, are we losing our freedom, or are we being taught to work together for the greater good?
I think we're.
Go ahead, Colin.
I think we're being. I'll be short. I think we're being taught the importance of owning, because business owners. The pandemic created more business owners and entrepreneurs, so they're not affected by this mandate. I'm not affected because I'm not held by any bounds of laws or restrictions or whatever it is that they're trying to do. So I think more than anything, it's waking people up and showing the importance of ownership. But that's me.
So I definitely want to acknowledge the super chat. If you all are with us and you've been with us for the first 13 episodes, thank you, Gail, for your comments. We definitely want to say that. But great show. That is. We appreciate you for popping on and showing people how you can support the show. That is definitely how you can get us to acknowledge your comment of us having a great show. And thank you, Terminus, for that. These dollars would definitely be going to good use, and so we appreciate that. For me, I think it's a little bit of both. Literally everything that what Colin said and what Destiny said. As a business owner myself, I currently over the last 7 years have probably hired about 300 or 400 people. I have about and I don't want to. I don't get me to quote. Now I think I have about 20 people that currently work for me now.
Nice.
And thank you, I appreciate that. And it let me know that two things: one, I can give people the opportunity to work. Right. Two, I don't have to, subscribe to the mandate, because once I swell to 100, 150, or 200 or whatever, they're all contractors. They're all independent. So they're not employees. And so I'll never want to have, for tax purposes, because I don't know if you have employees and you're paying taxes, but a lot of times some contracts don't allow you the bandwidth to pay W-4 employee or W-2 employees and taxes at the same time. So we're losing some freedoms, Destiny, but we're also we'll just talk about the Kyrie Irving situation. He plays for the New Jersey Nets, but they play in New York City, right? Or now it's the Brooklyn Nets, right? It used to be New Jersey, but now they play in Brooklyn. and that was a move by Jay-Z. And so I think it impacts him because he never really got the opportunity, as he said on his when he went live. He said, I never got the opportunity to really make a decision on how I would move. And I think we lose some freedoms, but you can't coerce us. You shouldn't force us to make a choice just because it's ravaging, the United States. A million people have died. But when the flu epidemic hit, and I wasn't alive then, but the stats are, if I remember correctly, that I heard or read, um, that a million people died when the flu hit, right? And so it's par for the course, if you will. And I'm not saying that I want to be have a family member that has died, because guess what? I have, and I'm like 1,000% sure that it was from COVID, right? I've lost 3 family members in the last 13 months. In fact, I'm going to bury a family member next week. My mother's husband passed away. And I mean, I'm shocked. I'm devastated. But you're not gonna make us do something just because it helps you feel better, right? We're not. And here's the thing that I have a conversation with my best friend. He's not vaccinated, and that's his choice. Neither am I. I'll say that for the record. Um, our conversation is this: why the vaccine if you can still catch COVID and still pass it? That was the question that he asked. And I don't want to really answer that, but that's the conversation that's happening. And it's forcing people to make decisions that they would not necessarily make faster. Just like the first conversation we had, the pandemic hit. Would you make a decision to have children or to have a family or be in a relationship faster because of the pandemic, right? If you wouldn't do that, why force my hand to make a decision before I have all of the information? With that said, great question, Destiny. Fellas, the floor is yours to answer
Yeah.
that question.
So I'll say, if anything, we gained freedom. We haven't actually lost any freedom that we didn't already have. Like, people are saying, well, I lost my job because I don't want to get vaccinated, but that was always a part of business law. You never had that freedom in the first place because you're an employee. You
At
never had
will.
that. So
Mhm.
what freedom did you lose when you were always going to abide by their rules? We
Yeah.
were always,
If you don't park in the employee parking lot, you're getting fired too.
yeah. So it's like you didn't lose a freedom that you never had before. So that was, and I think if anything, the pandemic has shown Americans are selfish, right? Because it was an exercise in trying to get everyone to get on the same board and do everything together. And in the beginning of the pandemic, I don't know if people remember, in the beginning of the pandemic, where Americans were scared, majority of people were on the same page. But then when people started to kind of get used to it and, oh, it's not that bad, then you start to see the freedom aspect of being an American start to show up. And that's what we're dealing with now. So now it's, oh, freedom, you're taking away my rights and all the, you never had rights as an employee. Now, if you're a business owner, you can do what you want. America's always been built on that. So Kyrie Irving, yeah, he didn't get a chance to, he never had that freedom to make that decision because
He's an employee.
you work for the Nets. You're bound by their laws. Sorry, America's always been that way. You didn't lose anything. If anything, a lot of people took the time to learn about investing, to learn about businesses, to learn about all these things and chart their own paths. So, if anything, you gain the opportunity to become better, to improve your situation, to have a chance of being a millionaire way early in your life. A lot of people realize that this American system of working hard and the American dream that's been sold to the middle class was absolute garbage, and it was a lie from the jump. And now, learning that, we freed ourselves from that train of thought, and we're charting new paths to, build our own legacies. So I feel like we gained more than we lost. Even with the mandates, I was just in New York. Mandates, when it's not even that bad. Everyone's outside still. I was in California 2 weeks before that. Everyone's outside still. Like, we haven't really lost as much as we gained in totality. And I'll end right there.
And Jamal, you actually answered the question of
Other than
why we won't successfully go into another lockdown, which was the first question, because we were all on the same accord. Everybody, this was new. Everybody was scared, so that's why we effectively went to a shutdown the first time. But now everybody's just lax and things like that. So there's different views. So I don't think we're going to go into another shutdown. So you answered that question too.
And then the other thing, like, it's just, I think the fear creates the conspiracy, and then we don't really look at things, and then, you know, everyone just starts doing their own thing. So I think that's what we're engaged in now. Everyone's going to make their choice, whether you want to do it, whether you don't. Everyone's going to do their own thing, and slowly but surely, eventually, we'll get out of it. You know what I mean? But all I know is all the wealthy white people getting it, and I don't know a wealthy white person that ever did anything against their own interests. But I'll end it right there.
That's a good point to say that we never have freedom under like the systems anyway, because everybody is talking about like losing their freedom, but like you said, we never really have freedom, and so it's like you either see it now and begin to build your own, or you just go back and do the same thing you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think freedom is a strong word. I think we lost, I would say, opportunities. So whereas, you know, a lot of opportunities have been limited due to X, Y, and Z, but freedom is a strong word. Like, freedom is a facade, in my opinion, in certain industries and aspects of life. So we definitely lost opportunities. The Kyrie Irving situation, the only unfortunate thing about that is, like, you know, he made his decision to go to a certain situation under the pretense of X. And then now it's under the pretense of Y. It's like, hey, these are the new pretenses. And I respect anybody that's going to stand on a position. He made his position. I mean, you know, he made his decision, and he's choosing to stand on it. So I respect it. Like, just like I respect the people that say, hey, I trust what I've been told. I trust the research, and this is my decision. I'm not excuse me. I'm not big on getting into a fight about it. Like, you know, if you don't want to get vaxxed, cool. If you are vaxxed, cool. Like, nobody is better than the other, in my opinion. So I just leave it at that.
Yeah, and let me say this. I'm not against your choice, right? Earlier I said allow people to do what they want to do because it allows you to see what they truly want to do. If you choose to do, I'll make it very simple. If you choose to like yellow, right, I'm not mad. If I choose to like green, please don't be upset, right? I don't have to make your choice, and I don't have to agree, but I can respect that you made the choice for you. It's just right now that's not my choice currently, right? Doesn't mean that it won't be in the future. It just that's where I currently stand. Wes, Colin, Shan, did you guys want to jump in on that? I mean, yeah, on that. I mean, I think Colin already jumped in, but Wes, did you want to jump in or anything on that particular question? Wes, I think you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
There you go. We hear you.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, the only point I'll make is, you know, there's freedom of choice, which I absolutely respect. But then there's a difference. There's a line when your freedom of choice starts to impede my how can I put it?
Life. Right to life.
My right to life. Perfectly said. And so, and that's the thing. You know, I won't go into too much detail on this, but I had total respect for people's choice. And then I had a friend recently, a few weeks ago, who actually got what I knew was COVID based upon the symptoms. It was shared to me. And I said, hey, you should probably get a test. She swore that she didn't have it. And I said, well, you deciding that you saying that you know you don't have it is about as valuable and as valid as me saying that I know you do have it except for the fact that I've had it twice, and the symptoms that you're describing are more likely to be COVID than not. Long story short is that same person was about to. They ended up getting the test, and the test ended up being positive. But that same person, prior to getting that test, was about to go to the grocery store, feeling terrible, and 5 minutes prior in that conversation, that person had told me that they wouldn't wish this on anyone. And that is such a contradiction, because you're saying in one breath you wouldn't wish this upon anyone, and then minutes later you're on your way to a grocery store not knowing whether or not you have this particular thing, and possibly bringing it to other people. So I'm if you're going to if you're going to exercise your right not to be vaccinated, I can respect that. If you can respect other people's space, if you can respect the institutions or the business decide that either comply with government protocol or decide for themselves as independent businesses that you know you have to wear a mask or you must be vaccinated in order to enter. Like, we're not entitled to anything. We're not entitled to anything. And so I think that's the only thing I really would add. We could go on and on for days, but
Yeah, so real quick to piggyback off of what Wes said, like, so me, I'm not vaccinated. I don't plan on being vaccinated, but I also don't plan on trying to impress upon anywhere that has a mandate. Like, if that restaurant says you can't come in here without a vax card or whatever, I'm not about to fight up against it. Those are the terms. I made my decision. I'm living with any consequence that, I'm living with any consequence of my decision. Like, I've been seeing, like, I saw this video on, like, it was like Instagram or something, where this woman was just intentionally going to restaurants that had a mask mandate. They were just filming themselves clash with the workers that were upholding the mask mandate. Like, I'm against that. Like, I'm anti-stupidity. Like, you know what I mean? If you can't make a decision and live with your decision without trying to, because now it's no longer you exercising your rights, but you're not allowing them to exercise theirs. So I'm definitely, like I said, whatever decision I make, I've made my decision, but whatever consequence my decision comes with, I'm okay with it.
Perfect. And Destiny, we appreciate that question, as it was a fantastic one. It is a very tough decision for every person, and it's kind of reminiscent of the haves and the have-nots. Some people who have the vaccine are shunning those who don't, and those who don't have it are shunning those who do. And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, we have to make the decision that is best for us, right? And no matter what we choose, it should not cause us to divide each other or cause division when we're making a choice for ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, whether we end up in the hospital or whether nothing ever happens, by the grace of God, no one is taken from us. Um, that that is, concedes to the virus, right? Let's all pray that this, it turns into like the flu virus, and then it's just something that's just here, and we can go back to our normal life. Um,
Yeah.
I You want to chime in, Jamal?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you because it's
Okay.
really
Yeah. So, we have to be human before we become, anything else. And we want to make sure that you felt heard, and I hope that you did. If you have a question, I did see some people have a hand raised on Clubhouse. If you have a question, we are on YouTube. Please take a moment, flip over to the YouTube app, type in Ask a Black Man Anything, the same title of this club, the same title of the live show that you're listening to. We are not taking Clubhouse questions tonight on this stage on any Thursday night that we do Ask a Black Man Anything. And here's what we want you to do. Once you come over to YouTube, we want you to subscribe and then ask a question there, because the link is in the comments and at the very top where you can pose a question. If you're currently in the conversation and you're interacting, by all means, join this conversation and come up and pose your question or give us your feedback. We are totally open for that. And, we want to hear from you, as this show is interactive. It is not just me sitting up here talking about whatever it is the topic at hand. With that being said, Shan, do we have our second hot topic, or do we have somebody in queue?
No, that was it, and we don't have anybody in queue, and I don't think we have a second. We didn't have time for a second hot topic, so it's we're pretty much freestyling right now. I mean, I got questions, but I'm sure you guys got questions that we could ask.
I thought I texted you one.
Did you? What was it? I didn't see it.
Let me see if I can emphasize it. Team my phone. No, I did not. I apologize. No, you know what I did? I put it in the group chat. I put it in the back channels. I'm sorry.
Did you?
I did.
Did you highlight it as did you put it as a?
I don't know. I'll go and find it again. Wes, while I do that, do me a favor. Since you're here, sir, go ahead and do your
the Dave Chappelle joint.
Yeah, I think that was
Dave
it.
Chappelle compares debating and previous legal troubles.
So I partially want to stay away from it if we can not dive into the letter community. I don't want to make it a conversation about the LBG, whatever. Wes, tell me what letters are.
LGBTQIA plus.
Thank you. LBG. I'm going to mess it up. So
LBGTQ
letters that Wes just said.
Yes.
LBGTQIA plus. There we go. I don't want to make it a conversation about that, but I think that's interesting that a comedian is being ostracized for comedy, while it may have some roots. And do I need to text it to you, or do you have it?
No, I can pull it up.
Okay.
Hold on, just keep talking.
So I just think it's so odd that that a comedian is being ostracized for his comedic talent, and Dave Chappelle is a genius in his craft. Have you guys had an opportunity to see the last Dave Chappelle show?
I have a quick question. I have a question for you, Chris.
Go ahead.
Spell ostracized. Exactly.
Continue. Size.
No, we've seen it. It's just I think it's a sign of the times. Cancel culture is canceling itself, and it's only a matter of time. I mean, that's it. It's gonna cancel itself.
Yeah. So Wes, just FYI, when I can't spell, because after a certain hour my adult words evaporate.
Right. Spell evaporate.
EAVOPORATE.
EAV. Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
I got you, brother.
You good. Evaporate.
My adult words are gone. Like, I'm not. No, but seriously, like, look, I think that cancel culture is probably the worst thing that is happening now. Like, you're literally, because you don't like what a person says, oh, he's canceled, right? Like, let's not. You don't have to agree. Just because you don't like it, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. And it doesn't mean that you're right. We both could be right. It's at the end of the day, let's just be respectful of each other.
So let me tell you why I appreciate cancel culture. Cancel culture has done and exposed and gotten rid of a lot of bad actors and people who don't operate in good faith in quite a few industries, especially when it comes to the abuse and mistreatment of women, film industry, music industry, and the like. So here's the thing, though. I don't think the issue is cancel culture. There's always, there's always a need for balance, and the great balancer is going to always be truth. So for those who run to counsel a particular individual, Dave, for instance, what they're going to run into is they're going to run into truth. They're going to run into his truth. And if you're listening to him, his truth is not against that particular community, and his truth is grounded in his reality and what his experiences were, and so much of what he was trying to say, or what he did say, was just missed. So no matter what end of the spectrum you end up on when it comes to cancel culture or being against it, truth is always going to be the great balancer. And if you're living in truth and you're speaking your truth, then that's always going to be your protection. Those people who have been canceled successfully are those people who the truth did not agree with. The reality of life did not agree with the reality or the delusion in their mind about whatever that particular situation was. That's my thoughts.
But is truth really winning in every category? Because in this case, the reason is there was a whole lot of other fans on the other side that stuck with Netflix, and people are getting fed up with people using cancel culture as a bullying tactic, because that's really what's going on too.
Right.
Yes, there are people that deserve to get thrown up out of there, but there are also people that just made a simple mistake or were misunderstood, and then they just got bullied and vilified out of there. So then it brings the question, are we really talking about a fight for equality or a fight for privilege? And it seems like people use cancel culture to bully people to maintain their privilege. But I'll end it right there.
No, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of truth to what you said. Yeah, I think I'm replaying some of the incidents in my head, some of the things that over the last few years that have come up. Yeah, I think truth is still winning out. They tried to cancel Kevin Hart, so they might have been successful to remove him from, I think, the Emmys, but they weren't successful in canceling Kevin Hart because his truth was the truth was on his side, and the truth resonates with the majority of people. So I when I think about it, I'm trying to think, and maybe I could be wrong, I could be missing something out there, but I'm trying to think of one person that cancel culture has irrevocably damaged, who did not deserve or earn that particular damage. And that's that. So I'm torn there. Maybe somebody else got it. I don't know. I don't really see it. Cancel culture. Go ahead, brother.
I have to think on that, but I'm sure it's happened, because this is like, what do we like, for example, like let's use the baby for example. I'm torn on this, because was what he said wrong? Yeah, it was wrong, but in hip hop, you could talk about murdering people, you could talk about drug abuse, you could talk about everything under the sun, but it's just like, you can't say this. But on the flip side of that, I'm also understanding, because we as a community, we haven't set a standard that the other communities have set, to where you can't say this shit without consequences. Like, we could talk about the disrespect to black women and go, it's okay. We could talk about drug abuse, drug distribution, and it's okay. We could talk about the murdering of black men, and it's okay. But the moment we talk about something that's not within our, that's in our community as well, but we don't have that standard.
Right.
You know what I mean? And until we create a standard, we're gonna continue to see this happen.
And you're absolutely right. And so here's the thing. The LGBTQAI plus community, they galvanize in a way that the Black community seems to in a way that seems to keep slipping between our fingers for whatever reason, and that's a whole nother discussion. But speaking to the whole standard, I think as a community, we are lacking a standard, and once we develop a standard, once there's a cohesive thought behind what we'll accept and what we won't accept, what's harmful to the Black community and what's not harmful. Once we establish that on some basic general level, of course, we're not a monolith. There's going to be ideas and thoughts that are, contradicting on all sides. But I think there's a baseline that we can come up with, and then it's about exercising our dollars. And that's because that's all that the LGBTQ community is doing. They're exercising their dollars, the value behind their consumership, and they're attempting to put it on to flex that muscle with Netflix, probably unsuccessfully. But in other areas, we've seen the community come together and get things done. I mean, Dave even kind of talks about this to some degree, but they get things done that as a Black community, we still have not, been able to do. And so it's, I don't know how the answers. I don't know where we begin, but I do know that there's a lot to learn and take from that particular community. And there's some positives to take from how they galvanize. That's just my thought on that.
Yeah. So, and on the flip side, though, Dave Chappelle has set his standard. You can't cancel me, and if you there's no adverse effects to canceling me. Is his position.
Yo,
so he you know what I mean. You could cancel me all you want. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead.
Yeah. There was one other thought, and then I'll go on mute. But there was one other thought that you just reminded me. So with Dave, if Dave had said other things, and if Dave had was a different individual, and I'm not talking about who he is as an icon, I'm talking about who he is as a person, and we've all gotten to see the realness of who he is. This is the guy, as he even said in the special, who walked away, who got off the bus and walked away from $50 million that was on the bus. So he's proven himself to be to have integrity and to be to have these qualities that regardless of him being fallible as a man, he has these qualities that we can all respect and that resonate with us. So when it comes to, not only that, but the combination of that and the words that he did share in his special, well, what happened was there was, for most of us who really truly listened, there was no cause for cancellation. Had he said other things, then he absolutely would have been canceled. So which is my point about the truth. And not just his truth, but truth in general that we all can resonate with. That is the thing that balances it out. If he had went and said some other fucked up shit, some shit that was crazy and off the wall towards that community, he would be canceled and it would be successful. And we might still have our feelings about it, but he would be gone. But even he knows that he stands in truth and he moves in truth. And at the end of the day, that's the overriding
Well, I guess my question was, how do you, when you say he'll be gone, how do you make them disappear when they're willing to, I'll leave this shit myself?
Right. Well, when I say he'll be gone, I'm only speaking from a standpoint of, the special would be off of Netflix. You know what I'm saying? And whatever other, ways that they could have either affected his pockets or his viewership or something to that effect. That's what I mean by gone.
Yeah, I think, him doing what he did early on with his show, and him walking away from 50 mil, I think that put him in a position where you would literally have to kill him to cancel him, because he's shown and proved to his people, to his supporters, that I really got my boots in the mud.
Yeah.
So,
and that's true. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, like for me, I support Dave Chappelle. It's going to be a lot for me to not support him. You know what I mean? It's going to have to be some R. Kelly type violation in order for me to cancel Dave Chappelle. So I think with a person like that, get their boots in the mud, I'm willing to walk away from the shit. I've done it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's true for all of us.
I think this was intentional. I think he truly was trying to get canceled. Like the start of it wasn't even that funny to me. It was just like, he doing this shit on purpose.
Listen,
you know what I mean? So I think that's what he wanted this.
No, listen, he didn't want to. I will say this, and I remember, this is not here nor there, but just a little footnote for myself. I remember I had a meeting, a couple of years ago with Dave. It was me, Dave, and Stan Lathan, and nobody else in the room. About this was when he came, when he did the Netflix deal. I think the deal was done, but this was prior to the first one coming out. That's just a little side note. That's just me fanboying for a second. But what's that?
No, Stan is my friend. This is my boy.
Oh wow. No, I met him. I met him the one time for that meeting.
Okay.
But anyway, so what was my point? Damn it! Is Robert in the room? Because
you fanboy.
Hey, I just got here, man.
That's hilarious.
We need to get Rob out the room for a minute.
No, hey, Shaheed was on to something though. Sorry, Chris. At the beginning of the thing, Dave Chappelle was already saying, "I'm not going to be around for a while." He was already letting people know, "Hey,
no, listen,
I'm about to defend me."
Here's what it was. Listen, he was not trying to counsel himself. He did his deal. He knows his value. He knows scarcity brings value. So for him, it was about, I'm not gonna be so exposed that my value goes down. That's all he was talking about. I think at the end of the day, he also knew that he was going to address it, and he also knew that it would ruffle some feathers, perhaps even get him canceled, but that wasn't his. There's a difference in him understanding what might be interpreted by what he shares when he shares his heart, and what there's a difference in that and actually wanting to be canceled. He didn't want to be canceled, but he understood his position. He understood the assignment, which was to go and tell his truth, especially when he's been misunderstood by that particular community for so long.
Yeah, I think he did it to prove a point, though, and to have people that would view it in a certain way prove his point, and they've been doing it in their anger and their attempt to cancel him. They were proving his point, and then we see what happened with John Gruden, where he finally got fired when he mentioned certain groups, even though he had a history of mentioning other groups, and everyone gave it a pass. Like, I felt that was intentional just to get them riled up so that they can prove his point of, oh, you see what I'm saying? You see what they're doing? You see how they're trying it? You see what they're doing? So, in effect of not being able to really see what he was saying and just rushing to cancel, they weakened their own position and their ability to cancel. Like, there's just some people, and I think now I get what you're saying, when it's like he didn't really mean any ill intent. He didn't say anything with bad intentions or anything derogatory. There's really nothing you can do because he's going to have that support. And he knows he has that support. And he knows as he goes, And I think this is different from Dave because he has a white fan base too, right? Heavy white fan base. And a lot of them are tired of cancel culture too. So when you get a lot of people that are fed up with how one-sided it looks and how unfair it looks, the privileged treatment that it may seem like, you're going to have that support that says, we don't care what you say anymore. We're tired of it. And I think that's where we are now.
With that being said, I want to definitely welcome Jerron to the conversation. We appreciate you, bro, for popping in. But we also want to bring up Tamika. Tamika, welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything out of DC. Tamika, can you hear me, Queen?
I can, yes. Good evening, gentlemen.
Fantastic. She come with her choosing signals too. Look at that hair slayed to the side. We see the little side part. I see you. Got your 1B khaki on. No, but Tamika, welcome. Say what?
I said this is every day.
Oh, hey. That's what I'm talking about. Pull out that 1B khaki. Anyways, welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything. Welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything. What question did you want to pose, or how did you want to join in on the conversation?
Yeah, so thank you for allowing me to come up. So my question is a little bit on the lighter side. I've enjoyed this discussion tonight, so thank you. So if you are in a relationship, or even if you aren't, this could be hypothetical for you. How would you feel about your woman wanting to travel, doing solo traveling, whether it be domestic or international? Would you have an issue with it? And if you do have an issue with it, how would you express that to her?
Goodbye.
I don't know. So I'm in a relationship, and TP, you're saying that we're in a relationship, but my woman wants to travel by herself?
Yeah, so you're in a relationship and your woman has expressed to you that she enjoys to travel, occasionally. She enjoys traveling by herself. She likes to do solo trips. And she's been doing that prior to, you guys getting into a relationship. So when you're in the relationship, she brings that to you. What do you say? How do you address it? How do you feel?
I mean, like all jokes aside, honestly, for me, it depends on like where is she going? Like, is this somewhere like I want to go? That's the only issue I would have. If it's somewhere like I really want to go, I'm gonna have an issue. But other than that, when you say by herself, what do you mean?
By herself.
By herself.
One ticket
to do solo traveling.
Safety is big. Safety is big for me. So I wouldn't like. I'm overly protective.
But Shaheed, she been doing that before she even met you. She was safe then.
Oh yeah, if she got experience in it, because I actually know a woman that she'll go get a job for 6 months, save up all her money, then she'll travel the world for the other 6. And she's been doing, like, if I got into a relationship with that woman, it's just like, yo, just let me know when I can go. You know?
I feel the same way you do. I feel like, for one, that, when you get in a relationship, especially if she was doing these things before we were together, I wouldn't want her to stop being the person that she was before. Now, of course, we're going to have to travel together because I think that's a part of the relationship as well. And I want to travel with you. I hope you want to travel with me as well. But I still don't want her to lose that piece of individuality. So I want her to still be an individual. I don't want her to lose herself in a relationship. I think that we got to do everything together. I do feel like sometimes in relationships, people lose who they were before they got in the relationship. They forget that part of that person. And all of their time and effort goes to being with that one person. And then they lose the things that they used to like to do, the things that they used to enjoy, the hobbies they used to, do. And so I wouldn't want her to stop doing those things, because there are people out here that actually travel solo and they make money off of it. They have blogs and make these videos and make these long posts, and they make money for it. And so if that's what she enjoys doing, and
she don't do none of that. She don't do none of that. She don't. Well, she's not no travel blogger.
Well, she's doing it.
She just wants to go. She just wants to go down to the Caribbean by herself.
I ain't talking about her going no 5, 6, 7 trips in a year by herself. Now, one trip maybe, but I'm not no 3 or 4 or 5. I'm not with that. But I don't want her to lose herself and forget who she is as a person. So I wouldn't be opposed to her doing it at least one time.
So, Tamika, I think that's a phenomenal question, primarily because that's one of the questions in my book. And while I'm going to do a shameless plug for my upcoming book, the Ultimate Vetting Guide, that is a fantastic question that you want to ask prior to getting into a relationship. Because if you look at that question, if we're in a relationship and we've been together for 3 months, can cause a major sense of disharmony, right? Or lack of harmony, or whatever the word is, right? Um, if you ask those questions prior to, right, you don't have to worry about having a disagreement because we're not tied to each other, right? You can answer the question and see, like if a woman asks me, hey, how do you feel about me being in a relationship with you prior to getting in a relationship, but now we're in a relationship? How do you feel if I took one solo trip a year, right? Um, that's something that you can ask prior to getting into a relationship, and then you can literally understand the person's psychology, and that person can grow. Let's say you're in the vetting process. That person can then either grow in that area, or they can stay the same, and you won't have to agree or disagree on something. It's not something that is a place of contention, right? So that's a phenomenal question, and so I appreciate you validating my book with that. I'm just going to plug that again. The Ultimate Vetting Guide will be out before Black Friday. But for me, if you were already doing that before you met me, if it doesn't pose a safety issue, right, and you're comfortable going without me, then by all means go. Because I'm going to travel without you, and I don't want you to say, "Well, I want to go with you," or I'm going to do a guys trip, right? Me and the fellows, we're going to take a mancation. You can't go, right? Those are the things that we're going to do, and we need to discuss them prior to. And so, it is a phenomenal question. With that said, I'll turn it to the guys.
Hold on. Hey, Chris, where you going? Where you going?
What do you mean?
Brazil.
I just came back from Orlando. That was my last trip. That wasn't a guy's trip. I'm also single. I am vetting, and
No,
that's a
Chris,
question.
where are you going on your trip by yourself? Where are you going? Where are you telling your woman you're going?
Brazil.
I'm going to Hedonism 3. No, no. I've been somewhere everywhere, on solo trips. So actually, and this is crazy, right?
He's going to answer the question.
No, I'm gonna answer. No, I'm gonna answer. So my ex girlfriend and I said, as soon as I get my passport, I'm gonna take a trip by myself. Do you know she had a problem with that? She was like, I can't believe. Now this was 2019 and 2020. She was like, I can't believe you're gonna want to go somewhere without me. Hmm. And then she plans a trip with her girlfriend. She's like, why would you do that? Because I want to go by myself. I want to
Hey,
just.
peace of mind, man.
I
We need
want to
all
take a
that
trip.
peace of mind.
I want to
He's
take a
going
trip
to
for me.
Chris is
Where am
going
I
to
going to
Rio
go?
de
I'm
Janeiro.
probably.
Rio de Janeiro.
So to answer your question, Shaheen, I'm probably going to go to probably Turks, right? I'm probably going to do that. I'm
Turks and
probably going to
Caicos.
go. I'll actually, you know what? I'm gonna be like those women who you all have just discovered Tulum. I'm gonna probably go to Tulum, Mexico, right? Every woman over the summer of 2020, as soon as they opened up, was in Tulum. Everybody. Matter of fact, it's crazy. I actually remember somebody doing a Tulum Clubhouse, Black in Tulum. Who else is out here? I'm like, that's crazy. Anyway, so that's where I'll probably go. But I mean, I can also do something stateside too, because there's a lot of states that I have not seen yet. So with that being said, toss it to you guys for conversation. And thank you everybody who is on the Clubhouse room. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed to our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We're all on there. And if you're in the conversation on Clubhouse, make sure you just pop over to YouTube if you can. If you're in audio only mode, that's perfectly fine. Stay on Clubhouse. But join us on youtube.com/Ask a Black Man Anything. Subscribe, like, and comment. Share it with your friends. And matter of fact, if you're already here, share this with your friends because we want them to be here too. But that said, I'll turn it back to you guys to answer that question from Tamika.
Yeah, I would say it was cool. Go ahead. Like everyone wants that time separate from their partner. Like you can't just be up under each other 24/7. So hey, if that's what you were doing beforehand and that was expressed before you got in a relationship, you still want to do that and it's safe, have at it. I'm going to either do the same or I'm going to enjoy the time at home. And then you build up the anticipation. And when y'all get back together, macaroni sounds and then everything is good. So, I don't really see it as an issue.
Macaroni sounds. Man. Yeah, since I'm laughing, man. Yeah, no, I don't see it as a problem with me. The only thing is if the traveling becomes a point to where it puts a strain on the relationship because of not being able to connect with one another, that's the only point that it would actually be an issue. Other than that, like Shahid said, if you're going somewhere I want to go anywhere, I'm kind of gonna want to go. I'm gonna be a little bit jealous on that. But other than that, if you was traveling before me, then by all means continue being your best you. Because when you come back to me, I want to get the best you. I want you to be the happiest person you are. You are the person I fell for in the first place.
What if she's happiest when she's not with you?
Then that's it. And that's the relationship. Then go ahead and go be happy. You ain't gotta come back. You ain't gotta come back.
So here's my answer to that question, Wes. I create a situation where you are eager to see me and hesitant to leave me. So,
Chris,
I do.
I'm not hesitant to leave you, brother. I love you.
That's because I don't want to melt wrestle you. But guess what? You're here every Thursday, so you definitely are eager to see me. So you ask for the channel every week. What's the channel? What's the link? Every week.
Touché.
So
Touché.
You keep coming back for more, Wes. But Wes, you're so subdued this week. Never mind. I'm gonna ask you.
How many trips is a year? Is it like once a month? Because then it's like, come on now, like now.
No, I mean, I think a good trip is like once or twice a year. To get her a chance to relax and refresh and get herself back.
Because if it's like every month, then it's like, okay, you don't want to be an American citizen at this point, which I get. Citizenship and do your thing. If you gotta leave every month, like I get it. It's tough here now. Like it's a lot of wild stuff going on in America. I understand.
The reason, so gentlemen, let me just give you a little bit of context. The reason why I asked is because I think I'm not alone in this, but there are a lot of women who, whether you come from a background for me, I'm an only child. So I am very comfortable in being by myself and I have traveled by myself. So it's important for me to lose that in a relationship. The problem is when I express that to men, they don't understand that. And they're like, well, why is it something I'm doing? Why don't you want to travel with me? Or why didn't you invite me? And it's not about them. It's just more so of, I need my time, because even though I'm with you and I'm giving you my all, I still need a little bit of time for me. And I feel like a lot of men, I don't know if it's because being selfish or if the woman is just so amazing and they want to be around her all the time. But I really do feel like men have a problem understanding women just wanting to have their own time in that way.
So, one of the things, I was having this conversation earlier. I didn't go this deep, but, I always say that, when people check off these boxes for us, too often we assume that means they're compatible and it's supposed to work. But the reality of it is that just puts us in the right dating pool. True compatibility it's far deeper than that. You start talking about emotional intelligence, love languages, attachment styles. And so, what I would offer is that people have different attachment styles, and people have different insecurities and vulnerabilities in the whole nine. And so for some guys, you're wanting to continue building your own journey while simultaneously going on the journey together. That may not fit their attachment style. That may not fit whatever they're bringing from other past relationships, and that's okay. To me, it signals that that's not the guy for you, because the guy that's for you is ultimately going to celebrate you enjoying your oneness, for lack of a better word, and understand that a better you as an individual only makes a better unit as a couple. So yeah, I just think that that's just going to be the case for some guys, and depending on who you are as a woman, those guys will probably not be the guy for you.
For me, man, I don't know. I got trust issues.
Oh, shit.
So I got trust issues because I've made bad decisions, and it's almost like I like. Excuse me, went down the wrong pipe.
You okay over there, brother?
I'm over here sipping on
Pellegrino. Sparked up a memory or
Pellegrino, and this is like, it bubbled up. Anyway,
excuses.
He got emotional on that one.
Right?
Are you
but I am emotional about this one because I feel like I got this sign on my back. I feel like I got this sign on my back that just says "Lie to Shan." I get lied to so often, man, and it bothers me. And if I met a woman that was she traveled before me, we got together, and now she wants to travel without me. I don't know. I would have to. It's not so much about an insecurity within myself, but maybe because of the history that I've been lied to. I would want to say, well, why would you want to travel without me if building a life together is about us? And I get it. I understand. I'm a Gemini, so I understand. Stay away. I need my space. I want to do my own thing. But something as majestic as traveling, I would wonder, why would you want to do that without me? And just to get away or just to clear your head? And I would wonder, can I be part of your joy? Another thing is a lot of guys is probably giving TPU some problems because people seen that movie Stella Got Her Groove Back.
I was thinking about that.
Stella Got Her Groove Back was a serious movie for people like me and Wes. We watched that and we was like, oh snap, And so, you go down to the Caribbean. At one, I'm gonna say, well, you always traveling. I'll be curious to look at your passport. I'll be like, are you traveling to the same place often? Is it because this place is special, or is it because somebody special is there? And then now, if it's about, I went to Milan one time, and I went to Spain another time, and I went here and I went there, and I had fun, and it's documented. I mean, everybody does a little bit of research in their partner, so it's like, oh, she got all these wonderful pictures, and she's out there, she loves nature, and that'll be the thing. But if it's it depends on the details of the traveling. If it's kind of quiet, it's not really well documented. I don't know. I would just have questions, and I'll be like, "Damn, what's going on with you in this traveling, and why can't I go?" Because that's what anybody would ask. That's not much different than, and let's remove traveling. What if a guy, and I don't want to gaslight and flip this, but I want to give a different scenario, put it in a different light. What if I said, well, I always go to this club. I've been going to this club before I met you. And I just like going to the club. The DJ plays some real cool music, and I just enjoy going there. But we together now, but I just want to go to the club again, but I don't want you to come. You stay home. I'll be back. The club is closed. It closes at 2:00. I'll be back by 3:00. Don't worry about it. And I go and I go to this. So it's almost like I expect a woman to say, why you all of a sudden want to do that without me? Why can't I go dance and have fun and experience this wonderful music and this wonderful food that you get at this particular club and this DJ that plays this great music? Why can't I experienced that. That is a totally valid question. I would expect a woman to ask if a man wants to always do something or something kind of special that brings him peace without his woman. Flip side, I would wonder why you would want to travel without your man. And so that's just me. So while those guys may be pure insecure, for me, I guess you'd have to label it as insecure if I'm gonna be real about it. I hate to say it doesn't sound good to come out of my mouth. It makes me feel weak and shallow, but it is what it is. And I would say, damn, why would my girl want to travel alone when we're in a relationship now? I can see why she traveled when we weren't together, but we're together now. Why would you want to do something like that alone? The things that I enjoy personally, the things that I do is as a hobby, as a pastime. When I get in a relationship, man, I would want my woman to enjoy that with me. Guess what I do? I've been doing this ever since I met you. I mean, way before I met you, but now that you're here, let me show you how to do what I do. I scuba dive. I like to go here. I hike. I'm in the gym. I like to travel. I go, I like African culture. So let's go to the African continent. I want you to come with me so you can see all the things that I've seen before, and maybe you'll enjoy them the way I do. That's what I would say. And to say to a woman, I want to continue doing that just without you because I like how it is without a woman would just be weird to me.
Saying I'm gonna say you're not the only one that's like that. Even though I would still be like, yeah, sure, go ahead. You were doing it before me, but at the same time, like if Tamika would have asked me that, I would question. Okay, you've been able to do this by yourself. You've been able to do this alone. You've had this experience by yourself. I feel like you would benefit more just by having your loved one with you, someone you can hug and connect with you. And if you wanted to have your getaway time, we don't have to spend our whole vacation there together. We can go off and explore on our own individual time so you can still have your time by yourself. But I would still love to create those experiences with you and still love to create those memories with you as opposed to you having your set of memories that we could have created together and instead you're on your own. So I understand where you're coming from with that, Shan, with that part of it. So throw that out there. Go ahead, Chris.
Let me just address this real quick for you, Tamika. And I understand from a guy's vantage point in having that conversation prior to or doing exclusivity. I completely understand. Men by nature, a masculine man by nature is a protector. And so our minds typically can't compute why you won't allow us to do what we naturally do. And so that's probably the issue that you're running into. It's not that they don't want you to go, it's almost like saying, "Hey, I don't want you to protect me." So there's a solution to that, right? Which is, like I said, it's a great question, which is why I added it to my book. Again, shameless plug for my book, Must Have Conversations. So, here's the deal. What you want to do is you want to say, hey, you know what? Maybe the compromise is he can go with, but he can't do any activity. And in the event you need him, he's there, right? He's not overshadowing. He's not watching every move that you make. Staying in separate rooms if that's comfortable, right? Or even maybe staying in the same room. The only deal is when you need him, he needs to be able to show up, right? But other than that, you go and you do whatever it is that you want to do on your trip on your own, but you still give him the space to be the protector in your life. I think that may be um, a great compromise, and that's something that you could probably suggest because hey, you know what? We want to protect you, and that's what we're looking to do when we make that confusion in our brain. I hope that helps.
No, I can't go on the trip with anybody.
I understand the concern of wanting to protect. I understand Shan's reservations in regards to, I guess, him feeling like, well, why don't you, what are you doing? You're traveling a lot. Why are you doing that? And who are you doing it with? However, I feel like, I do feel, but that's only if a woman, I feel, comes into the relationship and says, okay, well, I travel 10 times a year by myself. Let's just say she said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Shan, you have every right to think like that, because I feel like when you are in a relationship, your mindset should shift to we more so than me. So I do understand what you're saying. What I'm saying and what I have experienced is I personally like to take a trip once a year, solo trip once a year by myself. So me coming into a relationship, I will express that to my partner. And it's not that we're not traveling, because I love to travel, and if we're together, we're traveling, we're doing something, we're going somewhere. All I'm saying is, can I get one time in the year where I can do something by myself, because for me that's important for me.
Somewhere
And
random, or the same place every time?
it could be different places. It's no, it doesn't have to be the same place, and it doesn't have to be international. Like for me, like I like to do mecations.
Okay.
So my mecation, I live in DC. I live in DC. I'm right outside of DC. My mecation could be in Philly. It could be, I could go somewhere in Virginia, to drive to Virginia 2 hours away, go to a vineyard, go to Baltimore. Like my mecation could be local, but I want to do something for me because I feel comfortable, and for me that's just something I want to keep up in my life for whatever reason. Could be, just for me to be centered, or whatever my reason is. I just like to
Mm-hmm.
do it. Do I make it a habit, or do I make it something that I do every weekend, every month? No. Like I said, it's for me, it's once a year. I like to go somewhere by myself. So I feel like my partner, if they know me and understand me, they will respect that and not feel like I'm excluding them.
I think it's just the only thing is, I think it may be a little. That seems like a conversation for a mature relationship. And so the whole, if guys are running off because they're hearing that, I mean, again, what they're expressing is probably the sentiment that I had explained before. The way that you explained it to me just now sounds good in theory, but I think it would require for somebody to get to know you a little better and know you and what kind of person you are and how you move and the way you communicate and whatnot, and a little bit of more length and time in that relationship before they realize that that's going to be okay. Now, the thing is, you're expressing something that should probably be expressed early on. So it's kind of
Absolutely.
a conundrum. It's like, damn, you need to know this now, but you need to kind of know me for you to understand where I'm coming from. So you got to play that kind of cool. I'm not suggesting that you keep anything away from anybody for a little bit. And so get to know them and then spring on them. Oh, by the way, I need to go somewhere by myself once a year. But I think it would probably be more palatable and they'll understand it a little bit more if they knew who you were and they were, falling for you and were more into you, as opposed to them trying to, digest that early on in a relationship, and then them dudes are gonna be out. So, is she still here? Oh no, she's still here. Oh, there she is. Okay, there you go, TP. I'm looking for you.
I'm here. I hear you. Thank you.
No problem.
Perfect. TP, thank you, Tamika. Is Pleasure your real last name?
That is my real last name. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight and posing that question here on Ask a Black Man Anything. We hope that you are heard, and we hope that you found value in the things that we said.
Thank you. Thanks for having me up. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night.
Absolutely. And we want to jump to, is it Savannah Queen? If I'm saying your name incorrectly, please correct me when you come to camera. Um, Thank you so much for joining us here in the conversation. Savannah, welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything. What question did you have to pose to us tonight, or how did you want to join the conversation?
Hi, my name is Savannah, and first I would like to say thank you for this show. I will try to be fast, and I listened to your podcast like 3 times, and my question is, so I don't know how I'm gonna say. It's more about like culture relationship. So I have a different culture about relationship, like African culture. And in my life, compared to what I used to see on TV, in the movies and everything in my country, like I swear to myself, never dated, like I will never date an American guy because of how they are portrayed in movies or everything. And when I came to America, it was kind of different. But I still swear to myself, never with an American guy. But it happened that I had something with an American guy, and it's kind of strange because I feel like the way we show our love is kind of different from how American people express their love. I don't know if I make sense.
No, you make perfect sense to me.
Okay.
Especially because I come from a media background. So basically, I
So
remember when I first traveled to Egypt, right? And I was and I knew that people loved me because I was an American, but they hated me also because I was an American. It's a weird dynamic. And people that's traveled, I'm sure Colin can relate. He just got back from overseas a couple weeks ago. It's almost like it's a love-hate relationship for Americans. And it's primarily based on how the media portrays us, and especially black men. And so I can understand why, because I remember when I was in Africa, I could really understand how you feel when you got media showing Americans as gluttonous and we're wasteful and we drive big SUVs and it's all about us and we don't care about the environment and we got money and we piss and take poops and clean water and how, you know what I'm
sleeping
saying, and
around.
all kind of stuff, and then we're so self-centered. It would make a woman from the outside look at us over here and say, ew, like that's what Americans are. And then oftentimes whenever they get an opportunity to come over here, they say, oh wow, you're not exactly what I thought you were. But that's what media does. That's what
Yeah,
media does. And that's why I always tell people that Americans should travel. It's important that I think Americans, I'm gonna be honest with you. It took a trip. I lived in Africa for 10 months in 1993 to 94. And it wasn't until I came back from Africa that I stopped throwing away food. Before I went, I was just like most people who would get a plate of food at a restaurant, or somebody gives you a plate of food at a Thanksgiving, a soul food Thanksgiving. You eat what you felt like eating, and you just scrape the rest off in the trash can. I came back from Africa. Since then, and that was over 25 years ago, I don't waste a single morsel. I eat everything on my plate. And it took that trip and that culture shock for me to do that. But I know a lot of people that just don't eat all their food. I'm fine. They give it to the waiter. I'm fine. Thank you. I don't need that. You won't catch me do that at a restaurant. I will either order what I can eat or I just don't order it at all. So I'm glad that you were able to visit America. I'm glad that you were able to come here and see what people are like, to give you a different perspective, and that maybe it's not too late that you have a jaded perspective and maybe you can kind of understand how we are. Do you live in America now?
yeah, I do. And my issue comes to where, like, in my country, you don't just say men that you love you. Like now these days, people do.
Yeah.
But my generation and other generation, it takes time for you to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time for you to even open your mouth and say I love you. Like those are things that we don't say. We are more about actions, like, but it's not love. But when I came to America, people were,
Everybody loves everybody.
yeah, and it's like it's a it's a word that everyone say, but it's kind of difficult because I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I want to understand how to love American men without bringing my African culture.
So
I don't
let
know
me.
if I make sense.
Now you make a lot of sense. I think you're the perfect woman because you need that balance, coming from one extreme to another extreme. Because, and I'll just speak for myself. But as an American man, like we're taught that it's all about love and romance. And it's just
Disney.
like yeah. So that's why, a lot of men fail in their duties in their relationship, because you thinking like you could just get her flowers and take her out to a nice restaurant and romance, 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 love, love, love. I said I love you. Where on the other end of the spectrum, you have men that are just strictly about duty. They don't care about all that romantic, blase, blase. I'm handling my duty as a man and as a husband, and you should be happy. You ain't gonna get no affection. You got food, clothes, shelter, X, Y, and Z. So I think, you merging, and I think it's important, because there has to be a healthy balance.
How long have you been in America, Savannah?
6 years. 6 years.
And have you
But
been in
mhm.
have you been in any romantic relationships with any American men?
Yeah, that
Meaningful
was.
relationships?
Oh, I don't think it was meaningful, but I think I was kind of lost because the way I was behaving, like, I don't know, it's like I will behave the way I will behave with an African man, which, like, if I tell my friends, oh, I did it, or I think, not even telling, like, if I feel bad, and I'm like, how do you American people behave? And they will be like, no, that's not how we do. And I'm kind of confused, like, okay, like, just this is just an example. In my
Mm-hmm.
country, when you date a man, like, you show your love not with words, but with action, like, oh, you go and cook, or you do laundry, or you do.
Mm-hmm.
But here in
Here?
America, no. I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to like hurt the person just in case the person listen to this. I don't know. I feel like it's more like in TV. It's more like, okay, yes, I love you, and then the love just go away after a minute or after, I don't know. So
Yeah. I think it's gonna. To be honest with you, I think um, it's gonna take you a little bit of time. You've been here 6 years. Um,
mhm.
you sound young, so that's a good thing. So you have a little bit of time on your hands. I think it's going to take you a little bit more time to get accustomed to our culture here and realize that, sometimes we say flighty things like "I love you" sooner than normal, where we don't, where Americans don't really mean it. People can get into a relationship after 2 months, and next thing you know, "I love you, babe," and "babe this," and then they'll break up and never speak to each other again ever, but they claim to have loved each other. It's a lot of our term of endearments are taken lightly, as opposed to overseas where they're taken seriously. And it's just a culture thing that I don't want you to necessarily hold back your culture so you can adjust to us. I get it. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, as they say, right? You want to come over here and you want to assimilate to how we get down. But if how we get down doesn't align with your morals and standards, if it doesn't align with your internal standards, don't worry about it, because you're gonna find somebody over here. As long as you are doing the things that men like, you're gonna find somebody who's gonna align with you anyway. I do think though it's gonna take a little bit of time. I do think it may take you a little bit of time, and just to get to understand us and to try to get a little bit unprogrammed from the things that you saw on TV as you were growing up back home.
Okay, last question, last
Mhm.
one. So, what advice can you, just in case I have to face an American, how do you American people would like men would like to be treated? Like, that's why I wanted to ask the question.
Ooh, we can tell you that. I'm gonna let the brothers go. We know how we want to be treated. Who want to go first? Wes?
Let me see. I'll be brief. I mean, look, first of all, the disclaimer is that we are all different, and as individuals, and every man has has the things that he requires in a woman, and they may differ, which is why you can't go from relationship to relationship treating that man the same as the last man. because you might miss the mark every time. But that being said, there are definitely some things that we do look for to be in place, which is a woman's femininity. Also, and you're going to hear this a million times over, peace, being peaceful, being a man's peace, creating that space. Now, oftentimes, I think as men, we forget that we have to cultivate that space. And so there's some responsibility on our part to make sure that it's an environment conducive to peace. But that's going to be a huge one. I'll leave it to one of the other fellas to dive in.
Yeah, I mean, just really just trying to come to an understanding. Like, I think for you it's gonna be a lot different because of the huge the cultural gap. So try your best to listen. Obviously, don't do anything outside of what you're comfortable with, but you have to understand. Like, it's like if I moved to Africa and was dealing with an African woman, I would have to listen to her to make the relationship work within her culture, within, you know what I mean? I wouldn't take it as her trying to run the relationship or lord over me or anything like that. But I definitely, like Wes said, you're gonna hear peace a lot, but every man's peace is different. And I think what we have to do better as men is get women to understand what our peace is, what that looks like, how to achieve it, and whatnot. I'll leave it there.
What I say is pretty simple. First, I want to say that, just be there for me. Be honest, be trustworthy. But as you stated before, when you first came to the stage, you're from a different culture, and I'm from a different culture. And so one thing that I would want you to do is be culturally aware, be culturally competent. So I want you to be, uh, take interest in what we do over here. Show me that you're kind of proactive in kind of researching some of the things that we may do, or that you're trying to take a genuine interest in the way we do things over here. You're trying to learn with me, or you want me to teach you some things, because what that shows me is that, you know, although you come from a different culture, you are also willing to, be adaptable, and you're willing to, do things a little bit different. And so if you're willing to show me that, and you kind of allow me to show you, and you embrace the culture in some type of way, not 100%, but you embrace it in some type of form or fashion, that'll go a long way in showing me that, that you're truly caring and that you're really trying to make this thing work.
I think
And
what
I
I'll
end
go
on
with,
there.
I think what I'll go with is being your confident self. Don't be unsure of the way you move whenever you deal with me. Allow me to experience you and your fullness, as well as what you're good at. Show me what it is that you're good at, so I can actually see how we can mesh together. Along with that is I believe in a thing called womanly chivalry. I believe, men are chivalrous. I don't know if there's another term for it. Men are chivalrous. We do certain things that, show our respect. We'll open doors. We'll lay down clothing so you don't have to step in water. Just a whole bunch of different things, and just being mindful and prepared for a woman to be in our presence. I feel like there's other things that women can do for us men as well that fall in line with that on the womanly side. Something maybe just as simple as, we're driving in the car, you can feed me some grapes or some strawberries, or help me eat so I can focus on the road and get us to our destination safely. Um, but there's just womenly chivalry things that it sounds like you may already possess. Those things I think a lot of men actually will like, but there's a lot of us that will look at it and say, you know what, you're treating me as if you're already a wife, and that's where that confusion comes in. But I think I would dig that stuff actually. So
Thank
Feeding
you
you great,
so
Robert.
much, Savannah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was asking Robert, feeding you grapes, brother. Is that what we
Hey,
do?
you want some coming to
pine
America talk?
pineapples.
That's what we
Pineapple.
going.
You know it's nice if you driving in the car and you got some fresh fruit. Y'all going on a road trip and
He
she
went
just got the
straight to the
strawberries.
Princess Zamunda.
You can
Okay.
just and you can just reach
Wes,
over and grab it right there. You don't have to peel the orange or something. While you're driving. I'm just saying. But
Wes,
yeah.
you know that Robert is super mushy, so he has to, he wants to be, cared for,
The
and
role
so
of
he's
meanness
going to
is funny.
describe specifically
Mm-hmm.
exactly what he needs, and I think that's what most men should do.
I
We should, speak up for what we want.
thought I
With
was
that,
the in-house simp, but he's taking it to another level. That was my
yeah,
crown. Gee.
he's on some next level stuff. So
If that's what it is, that's what it is. I take it, but I'm still me.
Yeah, nah, Robert took the cake. What was that? Episode 10? Robert took the cake.
yeah,
That
Robert
nigga had
cashing checks over here.
Nah,
Hey,
y'all was tripping that day. Y'all was
embroidered.
really
His
tripping
cake
that day.
had his
Matter of
name
fact,
embroidered on it.
what's
he,
even cold is half of y'all agreed with me, but just told me on the back channel. But while we was live, y'all was fronting. Y'all
That
was
nigga had
fronting.
a
I was
silk.
still
dang,
me.
His
I
cake was
was
man,
made
still
out of
how
me.
does
silk.
that bus feel? God, that bus feels terrible. Somebody said, never mind. I ain't
No,
gonna
the
bring
but
it up because I'm gonna leave it alone. Savannah, thank you so much for joining the show,
Thank
Queen.
you.
You're very welcome. I hope you found value in what we said with here tonight.
Mhm.
We enjoyed your questions plural. Make sure you come back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Would love to have you come back up for any and all questions because we're here for that, literally to help guide you through any particular question that you want to ask. With that being said, we want to welcome our last and final guest tonight, Chef. What's going on with your boss? Welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything. What question did you have for us, or how did you want to join in the conversation?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for allowing me onto your platform.
Chef, you got to upgrade your
What
Wi-Fi now.
Uh-oh. Chef, you breaking up, boss.
There you
Pardon
go.
me. This is what the struggle stream looks like. But listen, I was kind of pushing back a tiny bit in terms of listening to the African sister. It was Savannah, right?
Yeah.
Savannah, yeah.
All right. So when we discuss our history and we discuss the modern terms of the dating scene and relationship scene, one of the things that we normally do is we.
Hey, Chef, real quick. Hey, can you
Yes,
lower
sir.
your? Can you like come in the
Yeah,
camera?
it's cutting your head off.
Here we go.
I mean, I was looking at the picture though. I like the picture that he got in the
Thank
background.
you. Thank you. We're gonna talk about that eventually. But here we go. So when we listen, to the wise brother Kevin, and we listen to, a lot of folks, even within the Black manosphere and all of that. One of the things we talk about is the changes within modern society and how it compares to the traditional society that we had before. Now, when we go traditional society was not the Queen society. Traditional society was, the cultures that we built from back home to the motherland. What was ill to me is that we understand the things that are put into the mindset of our sisters back home in the motherland, and then this modern society we're trying to fight. When I listen to it, I'm listening to this sister that's coming to the table with classic traditional values and understandings. And she's trying to say, hey, how do I impress these Western guys? And at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, nah, our society actually needs you to keep all of that magic that the motherland is bringing to the table.
Right.
That's
Does
good.
that paradox make sense to you guys?
That's
Makes
good.
perfect sense. Yeah. That's
Because
what I was mentioning when she was. I was like, I understand when in Rome, do as the Romans do, but I don't know. When it comes to matters of the heart, that's not necessarily the case. And us over here, we kind of fucked up in the way we've been conditioned in terms of relationships. You might be coming with the better sauce than we already have over here. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yo, baby girl, this ain't what you want. we trying to get you the way you are, But
I think
Go ahead.
I'm my bad. I think like I agree with you. I'm not gonna say I disagree with you. I agree with you, and that's one of the things I was saying is she's already coming to the table with the piece of she's already coming to the table with that womanly chivalry. She's already coming to the table with what a lot of men would look for in a woman, especially with the whole Kev movement going. But I do think that we also need to really pay attention to what we are actually facing because, like you're saying, there is a change that's happening. The change is already here. A lot of us feel like that change is wrong, like that change is not going to be the new norm, and we need to get back to the way it was before. But I can tell you right now, women ain't going back to being housewives the same way they were before. There will be less housewives going forward than there will ever be. Like it's not going to be that same thing. So we need to look at what the new dynamic of our relationships will be in the future, whether what the new household dynamic needs to be. I'm trying to get my words together here because we as men, we still can lead. We still can lead even though we have these women in these high positions. But we have to make sure that we understand how to deal with these women in these high positions. Right now, a lot of us are fighting that. A lot of us would rather say, and we off the topic with the African thing, but a lot of us would rather say, you know what? No, we need to make sure that I'm the head of the household, that I'm in control, that I'm the one who makes the money. You're at home, you stay, you take care of the kids, you do this and do that. But that's totally the opposite direction of where we're heading. We're not going to go back to that. That's not happening. There may be a few people who are there, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. But the people who can adjust and can see what the relationship of the future is going to look like, those are going to be the relationships of the future that flourish.
So I got a question for you, brother, and I'm glad you say that. So considering a lot of the things that have some of the negative things or some of the vices that have been incentivized within our society to kind of lean our sisters and our younger sisters to the other side, what can we do to either one correct or two incentivize correct the inappropriate? I'm a corporate executive, so I also speak in terms of training and understanding people. What can we do to one, effectively correct that behavior, and then two, to somehow incentivize the appropriate behavior so that we lead people to that path?
The first question I would have coming right back to you is, do we have enough data to show that the new behavior, the new norm, is wrong? Why does it need to be corrected? We have hundreds of centuries of the old-fashioned way. We have 50 years, not even that, of the way it's being done now. Really, 80s babies, 80s and 90s babies, from then on up, those are the ones who are reaching new plateaus in their careers. These are the ones who are now, somebody said it earlier, and it was funny to me when they said it, women are just now coming into money and they already don't know how to act. That was that was one of the things I was said, and it's like it's kind of a true thing because now they get it and they want to lord it over man. They get it and they want to treat their man as if the man is less than them at this point. In some respects, it's in response to the way that they were treated whenever we had it like that, right? So that's my first question is what makes it wrong? What makes the new norm? Why is that wrong? Why do we consider it wrong? Because it challenges what we believed in the past, believe the way it was supposed to be in the past, or statistically, we don't have enough numbers to really compare it to, thousands, hundreds of years of traditional
So
relationships.
let me jump in here, and I'm gonna push back on that, Rob, because like when you say we don't have enough data statistically,
divorce rate.
We got to look at everything. Like we can't just look at certain aspects of the data that we think directly correlate to that. We got to look at everything. Me, as an educator, I can produce you educational analytics that say otherwise. You know what I mean? That all this stuff I can tie in the mental. I'm sure Jerron can tie in the mental health component to it. Like we could look at the drug abuse rates, X, Y, and Z. I currently work right now. My expertise is in suicide analysis. So like we can't just look at the direct numbers. We got to look at everything and how what's changing from back then to now, and add that in as well.
I feel like that's kind of my point. I feel like that's kind of my point because we have a lot of reference that, where we didn't have a crack epidemic. There may have been drugs, there may have been alcohol, but we didn't have a crack epidemic. We didn't have gangs as violent as they are nowadays. We also didn't have all these different other mental. We didn't have the understanding of our mental issues like we do now. So now we have a whole lot more data to actually digest. But we're trying to say that the old way was the right way and was the way that works. Well, women would stay with their dude because they had no choice. Women would stay with they do because they weren't unable to say, you know what, I can make it on my own. Nowadays, nowadays women can actually get out and make it on their own. Like we talk about protecting the woman, a woman can go out and learn Taekwondo. She can go out and learn Muay Thai. She can get a gun. She can get a knife. She can get a taser. If somebody can get past all that, chances are they was gonna get past us anyway. So,
but Robert, Robert,
putting on that cape.
Here's the
I'm
problem.
not putting on the cape. I'm just trying. I'm trying to learn y'all. I'm trying to learn you. I'm trying to learn you.
But Robert,
Luke Skywalker's coming out, y'all. He took out his lightsaber.
Robert, let me tell you, we don't have the data, so I understand that.
Facts.
But we do have the voice of the women themselves, and the women themselves are complaining about it. The same women that was independent women and we love white women feminism back in 2010 and all that. In 2021, they're tired of trying to be men. They're saying it. Like, we're not making it up. Black women, they're in these positions, but a lot of them are in their positions because they had to be. That doesn't mean they want to be. Yeah, she can learn Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu and she can become the next Bruce Lee. That doesn't mean she wants to do that, though. That doesn't mean she wants to be the next James Bond and know how to disarm niggas in the street. Women are pushing back against that sort of mindset that was put on them by the generation before, right? There are women talking about, yo, my mother led me astray. Or there are older women in the church or whatever that said, you know, we had to do certain things and they realized that was toxic and that was traumatic experiences that were passed down. So we don't have the data, but we have a lot of women now that are coming out and saying, I don't want to do this by myself no more. I want love. I want a man's protection. I want to be led. I don't want to lead at work and then coming home and lead. I don't want to do any of that. So we have women pushing back too. So we might not have the data for years, but I feel like we can still get back to a better version of what we had before. Maybe not at the same rate because it'll never be the same, but I think women are coming around now to saying, you know what? If the man knows how to lead properly, and if we as men can help this next generation of men learn how to lead properly, they'll willingly accept it. And let me
Jamal, that's exactly that. Jamal, well, let me get this out real fast, Jerron. Jamal, I think you're absolutely right. I was about to say, to answer Chef's question kind of directly, yeah, what we would have to do is teach our young men to put women inside of a position where they feel safe enough to where they don't have to go out and be in that position. I think that's where it started in the first place. The women of the 80s and 90s, their mothers were left without people without fathers in the household because of policies and because of drugs and because we didn't have our ourselves together enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna stand on my feet no matter what comes at me. And so women didn't feel like they were in that safe position. So they went out and got their education. Mothers taught their kids, go to school, learn what you can learn, get a good degree, get a good job, and you don't need no man. So that's what's been taught. So if we can teach our young men to come up and present themselves in a way that positions a woman to feel safe inside of their presence, then that's the way you would get back to that more traditional household that some people are craving for.
And that's that's pretty much what it is. I think we're being a whole lot more complex than it has to be. I mean, we know what I'm not even talking about data, but we know what we've seen from our families, you know, that was in front of us. We know what we've seen from our families in the past. We know what we've witnessed. And so all we can do is go off of what we've seen and try to be better. It goes back to if you had a dad in the home, your dad wasn't in the home, so you don't know how your dad would have raised you, but you know how you don't want to be. So based off of how your dad didn't raise you or based off of what your dad showed you, you want to have motivation to be a bit different with your kids. And so I think that's pretty much what it boils down to. I mean, we know what's going on. We know what's been going on. We know what works, what doesn't work. I mean, we have a whole lot more now than our parents and ancestors had before us. So now we can take all that knowledge that we do have now and we can use it for greater good. And so some of the things that took place back then, we know now that, hey, those things don't work. And so it's pretty much exactly what you, Jamal, and Robert said. Based off of the evidence that we had before, and the research that was shown, I now can make a better decision. And it's like the old saying go, actions speak louder than words. So, your words, you can say all you want to say, but if your actions are not lining up with your words, then it's pointless. So based off of the stuff that you're saying and based off of what happened previously, now I can take that and I can put my words and my actions together, and then I can show something differently. So I think that's what it boils down to, just being different and showing it through your actions, not just based off of the words.
Y'all see that one that Destiny wrote? She said, that's true. We don't want to be men, but we don't want to be under men either. It's about partnership. That's a whole conversation. Y'all know that's a spicy one for me.
I wanted to that's cap though. Like that's
that's like that's
I didn't because we'll be here for another 2 hours if I jump in on that. Go ahead.
We're not gonna be here for 2 hours.
Yo, fellas, I apologize for interrupting. I want to thank you for having me. It was definitely a good discourse.
See, Chef?
I have to run. But
see what you do, Chef? You come up here, you come up here with these hot topics, and we get just talking and talking.
Nah, bro, we keep it spicy where I'm at. So I just came to drop couple of jalapenos in your soup. You know what I mean? But y'all some intelligent brothers. I appreciate the discourse. God bless, and maybe we'll do it again. Peace out, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, Chef.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, thanks for having me. Thank you.
So
go ahead, Shaheed.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be quick because that in itself is an oxymoron. So you say you don't want to be men, but you don't want to be up under men either.
So you're gonna go there. You're gonna go there anyway, huh?
I mean,
got to.
He's gonna be the last comment that we make on that, Shannon. Come on.
I mean, go there anyway. But that's just the confusion. That's just the confusion that we as men have to deal with. You don't want to be a man, but you don't want to be up under men either. So me as a man, if my
partners,
if my duty is okay to provide, protect, sustain, and lead, but my woman doesn't want provisions, protection, leadership, etc., what do I do? Like what do I do at that point?
Get another one. Because everybody can't be saved.
So let me say this.
I got a response for you too, Shaheed. But go ahead, Chris.
No, let me just kind of close it out because we'll be here all night.
The conversation. Hey, I missed a lot of it. Conversation just got good.
That's fine.
No, I'm gonna tell you how you do it.
We're gonna bring this back next week. Destiny already wants to come back in.
Robert got to defend Destiny, boy.
Matter of fact, I'm about to come right at that. I'm about to come right at that. If y'all let me, I'm about to come right at that. It's not gonna be no defense. It's not gonna be no defenses. I'm gonna come right at that. I'm gonna hit that on the head.
Robert, you be talking a long time. We're gonna save it for next week.
You got that lightsaber ready.
I ain't even been here all day. I could have been talking a long time.
No, Robert, we're gonna hold this particular one till next week. And
I'll tell you, let's do it next week.
She's coming back. She tried to cam up. Look, Destiny tried to cam up
because she wanted to come back, right?
So she gonna come back next week.
We gotta start with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. I get the concept of I don't want to be under a man, and it may be I just don't want to be under his thumb per se, and so maybe that's it. They want to learn how to walk beside us. With that being said, we both have a responsibility, both men and women. We have a responsibility and to do, number one, our due diligence where we're selecting the right partners. Go ahead and get my book that's coming out before Black Friday. It'll help you select the right partners. Number two, you have to be who you are so that the person who you're vetting or looking for, and when they are who they are, you all can come together and you can be the same. You can work together in harmony, right? If you're bringing your feminine and he's bringing his masculine, then you all can work harmoniously together. And that's what we're looking for, harmony, right? More than peace, more than anything. And with that being said, of course, we thank you, Chef, for coming up and posing that question, dropping some jalapenos in our conversation. I think we have had an amazing, I know, Robert, you busting at the gut, but you'll be
I want to, man. I want to. I really want to. I really want to.
We're not doing
like
that.
Damn my outro. Go
ahead. We're not gonna use our outro for that one particular story.
We gotta cue the music on his outro.
Yeah, like
my leg going.
At any rate, Man, we saw, we conquered, and we had, great conversation as we always do. And I want to say this as a kind of personal privilege. We typically, every time a lady comes to the stage, we want you all to see that we all treat you, with respect, with kindness, and we don't throw our cameras on the floor. Jerome was like, "Nah, no, we don't throw the camera on the floor." No, just teasing. But no, we definitely treat you all with respect. So we want you all to continue to engage with us on YouTube. That's where our show is broadcasting. Make sure that if you're in the comments, and typically, Shan, we don't address the comments, sir. So if you're in the comments,
No,
and you
I only
want
said
to,
that because she tried to cam up. That's the only reason I did that.
I understand
but I know
that.
we have a rule, and I didn't follow it. I apologize.
So typically, if you want us to address your comment, any comment, make sure that you super chat us by sending a cash app to $ Ask a Black Man Anything, or to our PayPal. It's on the link in our Instagram. Make sure you go over there and you're following that. I want to say, gentlemen, we did a great deal here, having a great show. We're gonna start with Jamal on his outro.
Jamal, we out.
Go ahead, fellas.
We out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. It's Shaheed Muhammad out of Los Angeles, California. Episode 14, fellas. We almost at 20. Excellent job, always good. It's your favorite black cowboy, favorite black educator signing out. I'm gonna also go ahead and outro for Rob. Robert Longmire. Go ahead.
Nah, Robert Longmire, Bakersfield, California. I'm gonna keep that topic for next week. I'll hold it up, and then
you ain't gonna remember.
I'm gonna get at you. I got something for him. I already got a reply to his whole thing. But
you gonna go write something down. You go
hey, I'm gonna definitely go write it down. I'm gonna lab that. It's gonna be like I'm gonna write a whole rap to it. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to Jamal. Jaron already went.
Jamal Dixon, glad to be here with y'all, man. We're gonna kick it off next week. Just great to share the stage with everyone. Just hope everyone remains safe over the weekend. I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Wes, who's been whispering in the mic. Go ahead and turn that sound up, buddy.
Yeah, Wes, I am Artistic IQ on all social media. I'm located in Los Angeles, California. Brothers, it was a good show tonight. Enjoy being with you. Let's do it again.
No,
Hey, I'm Jerron. Another night down, y'all. Another night accomplished. I'm Jerron, Jackson, Mississippi. As I always say, self-love is the best love. Do something nice for yourself this weekend. That's what it's all about. Go and pass it to, I don't know who next, but I'm passing to somebody.
Super producer.
Oh, is it me? Thank you guys for showing up tonight. We appreciate you for listening to these black men talk about perspectives from a black man. You guys had a lot of good questions, and we had a lot of great people finally came up. I wonder if it's our new system or not. It's actually, we've always had this system. But because we didn't have enough time to set up today, we had to jump over here as opposed to what we normally do. But we got a lot of people that cammed up. And so I'm glad that you guys came up and asked us some questions. Hopefully you'll come back next week and ask more questions. We already got one that's already set up, and Robert's going to lay into us about that along with Destiny. And that'll be a good discourse about what Destiny had asked. But thank you guys for showing up. We appreciate you. It's really important that you subscribe to the channel. Can you please do that? And then also hit that like button. The reason why people on YouTube ask to hit the like button, thumbs up or thumbs down, it doesn't matter, is it helps the algorithm, and it tells YouTube that people are interested in our content, so that the next time we go live, YouTube shows it. Unlike Facebook and Instagram, YouTube is more of a search engine. And so people that's not even looking for us will find us because YouTube will put our videos in front of them, but they'll only do that if you guys hit the thumbs up. So we appreciate you if you can hit the thumbs up and like our channel and subscribe to us. Thank you so much. I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Big Chris, it's on you, big dog.
I just want to say that Shan, your shirt is so ironic.
I don't know why you touch it. Why you ain't even supposed to touch it, bro? Y'all be touching stuff.
Well, we can't do the topic, but you can do that though.
And you're showing your VVS's and the clarity that you have tonight. You know, we have so much clarity, and we can see, we can see the true colors of your diamonds, and your necklace and many other things. At any rate, it has been a plum pleasing pleasure. Make sure you guys are following us on Instagram. My Instagram is right there, the real underscore Chris Davis. Follow all of the fellas. This has been an amazing conversation. I am super happy that we were able to be here. Super happy that we were able to do this again, and super happy that we had people to come in, support our show with the super chats, and just not just be keyboard warriors, but actually come to the show and pose a question. I am Chris Davis, your host of Ask a Black Man Anything. We out.
We don't have an outro, so we just gonna kill the broadcast. See everybody.
You ain't no music.
Peace.
Whisper you out.
They got something, but it ain't what we normally use. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Wait, I got some music, man. It's hold on. I got something.
You got something?
Yeah.
Where's you and his whispering, man?
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
Hey, man.
What the hell are we listening to?
This is like your outro music.
This ain't nothing like my outro music. This sounds like some old country Dixie whistling Dixie.
We still hot.
By no means am I saying.
Wait. It'll be a shame for us to get it flagged because you playing some copyrighted whack music.
Yeah,
like
man.
If we gonna get flagged, at least let it.
At least
All right, here we go. Here goes something else. Y'all done muted Robert?
Nah, he's not talking to us.
Is that
I was talking to y'all.
free?
I was saying Chris is sensitive about his shit, so y'all be
Chris,
careful.
is that copyright free? Chris?
Hey, man.
Chris don't even know, man.
Hey, man. We ain't gonna get banned. I listen. You see, when y'all tell me to stop doing stuff, I'm gonna do it, right?
Yes,
I ain't gonna be like that.
That man was gonna be petty there. I heard him. He's about to be petty.
Look. Thank you for your support. Whether you're in the chat or definitely supporting financially, one way or the other, we appreciate you.
I'm sorry.
That's not copywritten, Wes. So please stop that.
Peace, everybody. Love you. Next week, we out.
Shan, are you killing Restream or just killing the broadcast?
I'm killing Restream.